on like Facebook gun pages. Always like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you got a license for that broomstick?" It's great. I love it.
Yet.
Oh man.
Right. Gav, your ping is still spinning around. Is it going to be all right for you to play? I don't know how badly it affects
I don't
tabletop.
think.
Oh yeah, I'm just downloading Dying Light.
I'll leave you
It'll
to
be
it.
down in it'll be down in 5 minutes. If it
Cool.
is RC, I'll just pause the download.
Yeah, that's okay. Everybody ready to start?
Yes.
Gex, have you got your recording going just for fun?
Yeah. I've
Okay.
dropped it down to 1080p so it doesn't take up another like 50 gigs on my computer.
Oh man, excellent. And let me look over what few notes that I have. No, I've got more notes written for these next sessions. Just give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to scratch something off. Here we are. Okay. So the 3 of you have been tasked by a wealthy patron and leader of some wandering tribe group in the nation of Glaive named Marceau to transport an artifact unearthed from a tomb belonging to perhaps a distant ancestor of his from Orilla to Iron by cart across the road, keeping a low profile, keeping it out of the hands particularly of the Nalgena rival ethnic group who might wish to steal it from you. You've spent so far 3 full days on the road, and are coming into the evening of your 3rd day. Your expectations, your charts, your maps, everything you had planned, anticipated climbing a set of moderately sized hills, not quite mountains, but hills, crossing the ridgeline north of Iron, and arriving into the city as night began to close around you. And yet, upon reaching the first true summit, creeping up the mountain path, passing travelers as you go, you are greeted with an unexpected sight. The mountain range that you came to cross, the range of hills, the run of topography and raised land, has been split, and a long, wide, steep valley now runs through the heart of it all. In the evening light, as you come up to the crest, you're greeted by a view of the glen that runs all the way along it. It is, as I say, steep-sided. The black and grey and crystalline rock of the hill that you've been climbing, that you've been able to glimpse creeping out of the ground across the moors to the north of you, has been cloven and worn apart, and fertile farmland can be seen along the bottom. A river runs through it, as you'd expect with a valley like this, and the road alongside it. You can see animals grazing, clustered together, preparing themselves for another cold, late autumn night. And some way along, the lights of a town glint in the evening twilight. Your steed, the Anine that you've named Archibald, has been skittish for the last day. It is particularly nervous, perhaps, in lacking line of sight, in being unable to anticipate its moves. And as you might then expect, being gifted with this grand, long, fairly majestic vista, it relaxes instantly somewhat. The Anine itself pauses, opening its nostrils, breathing deeply. And the evening is beginning to get cold enough that its breath steams in the air as it exhales. You've only seen one other person since you began to ascend these hills, and he simply laughed at you passing through. And you can't see anybody moving around on the valley basin, although, as I've said, there are animals, there is a town down there, there are structures. How would you like to proceed?
I don't
So
like the
this
looks of
valley
this.
wasn't here. Yeah, this valley wasn't here the last time I was here. No.
No. Although, as you yourself have said, it's been a couple of years. Certainly not so long that it's likely to have formed naturally through glacial or glacial action.
A real fast glacier.
This is
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not that old.
super fucking climate change.
fucking sandpaper glacier. Yeah.
I wouldn't like to run into whatever caused this.
Yep.
Well, we could
Well,
just,
just let's
put it down
keep
to a strange, unknown, natural phenomena that we have no knowledge of.
You'll recall passing through a fairly narrow chasm, maybe half an hour before as you were climbing up, that appeared to have been kind of sharply cloven and distorted and pushed through the rock.
Hmm.
I think Gav's perception roll was enough for him to work that out and to notice it properly.
Hope we take the dive, I assume.
Oh, shall
We
we?
have no choice. We've got to get there.
There is a path, a switchback path leading down. The road doesn't end where you are, so there is a switchback path leading down onto. It looks like the road you've been following continues down the length of the valley and heads through the town.
Well, shall we go on to the breach, gentlemen?
Yeah.
All right. Gav, were you you were walking ahead of us, weren't you?
I was walking ahead, but for this valley thing, I'll walk beside the Anine and
Yes,
the
yes.
cart.
Seems
Very
reasonable.
cool. Watch the rear from the back of the cart, I think.
You're going to watch to the 6th, yeah?
Yeah, I think there would probably be at our greatest peril in this area.
Yes. All right. Very well.
On edge.
Give Archibald a gentle pat and nudge him onward and downward.
And the Anine continues without really much encouragement. Kind of starts heading forward, likes the fact that he can see exactly where he's going. He can predict where the path and the road is going to switch and where it's going to bend and where it's going to be steep. And it's not necessarily harder or easier going than on the way up. It's still steep where it turns. It's still, narrow, but your ride, at least your mount, at least seems much calmer. The air being in a valley is warmer, as though it's been really soaking in the sun. So it is, starting to descend. You're out of the wind that's been coming from the north, and you sense, the fertility of the land. There isn't so much of a peaty smell that you were getting from the north. The earth beneath you is different. But it takes you, still takes you an hour or so to get down, in which case you're heading down into the night and visibility is going to start to peter out a little. The path itself, the road itself is white dirt amongst the grass. It is exposed rock, and so you're not going to have too much difficulty following it itself, especially once you get down to the level. Because it simply, so long as the river stays on your left, you're okay. But anything that might be moving around, it's going to be difficult to determine an animal from an abhuman, from a person aiming a crossbow, perhaps. Are you going to light a light regardless?
Yeah.
Well, we had those lanterns, didn't we? So
I suppose, like, the cart itself is probably making enough noise.
I have 2 minor glow globes. What are those?
The rules for glow globes.
Well, they're still going to be seen.
Yeah.
As a torch would. And we did pick up lanterns, didn't we? 2 lanterns and oil.
Yeah, you brought lanterns and had glow globes, I think. Yeah. So glow globe is in an explorer's pack, and I want page 98 for the rules on glow globes.
I think you read them before and said you deploy them and they hover around you.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's like a drift globe in D&D. A glow globe illuminates everything in short range with soft light. It can hover in place on its own or be attached to something. A minor glow globe lasts for an hour when activated. A major glow globe is continuous. So if you have 2 minor ones, that is 2 hours worth of light.
Well,
They will expire after that time.
I would say they're not going to illuminate a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
Can we see? I assume we could see well enough the path in front of us, so there's not really much
Your
point.
eyes adjust to the dark, and the stars are starting to twinkle above you. It's another clear. It is going.
Oh,
You cut out there.
yeah.
Did I? Lovely.
You said it is go, and then cut out.
It is going to be a cold night, although it won't be as cold as perhaps if you'd slept out in the plains to the north of you. It is going to be another cold night. Make me. Do any of you have skills in kind of nature or navigation or anything like that?
No.
Knowledge trained in geography, but no, not that type of thing.
I'm going to count that as trained, actually. I think Gav. Everyone, make me rolls, and I'll make it a little easier for Gav.
13.
Hang on.
7.
It was a shit roll, so I rolled again. I got the same number, 13.
And Sam, you got a 7, did you? Actually, that's kind of enough for all of you. Basically, all I was going to get you to realise was that the stars above you haven't changed. The stars above you are the same. The weather conditions are the same. You haven't had any sense of
Numenera fuck-ups.
yes, there's nothing abnormal or weird immediately about this valley, other than the fact that you weren't expecting it.
Roger that.
Coming down into the ground of it, the road is no more or less beaten in and well travelled and well tended than what you've been on before. There are holes in it. There are parts where the what's the word I'm looking for? The fill and the kind of top layer has been kicked out across the verge and the grass next to it. More notably, though, the animals aren't enclosed. You know, before this, and the northern plains south of Arilla had large open spaces, but they still did have enclosures. They were still punctuated by skeletons and ruins of old past worlds. You know, at odd points, brick or steel would stick from the ground, and there's none of that. You have clear, open grass around here.
Would we recognise these creatures as domesticated animals, or are they wild?
So it's a little bit dark. Make me. They are, you know, they are kind of ungulates. They are the kinds of animals that are, you know, from the size of them, they're not behaving like wild animals. Do you know what I mean? They don't seem afraid of you. They're clustered together like herd animals. It's a bit dark to kind of work out what things are.
Yeah, fair. Cool. I'm satisfied with that. Shall we continue?
Yes.
Right, we'll ride
You're
on.
riding down, and you're going to ride on down towards the town.
Yeah.
That is where we need to go, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's in the way.
I will at this point get everybody to make me a perception check.
I am trained in perception.
I know you are, Gexus, yeah. But nobody else is.
Reminding myself. 17.
Yeah, that's cool.
6.
16.
16 and 17 are good. 6 is not so good. Gav, you're down at dirt level walking, aren't you?
Yeah.
And so Gex and Sam, you'll notice a few things coming up on the buildings, and you can see that the buildings are ahead of you at this point. You can see the light of quite a few buildings. You know, this is not a tiny little farmer's hamlet. This is a distinct village, and then there are residential huts similar to the ones you might have seen in Sandstone ahead of you, with 2 properly large buildings. And when I say properly large, I mean they are 2 or 3 stories, 3 or 4 rooms deep. They're not a bad size at all from what you can see. Before that, you can see a couple of things. So there are posts sticking out of the ground, kind of pylons almost, two of them as you ride up on them, and as you get closer and closer, you realize that there are people hung from these pylons, suspended,
Alive?
unmoving. It's quite dark, and it isn't until you get quite close that you realize that these are dead people. You can tell from the way that their heads hang and their necks are bent, wearing green leather.
Mm.
You both did quite well on your perception checks, and so you look at these and you realize they haven't been dead very long, but they do look very thin, very skinny. Like they were hungry before they died. Like that. And then as you're riding up, yeah, it starts to kind of catch your eye as you're riding up on this. And then Gex, because you rolled that bit better again, and because you've got that bit of training, this catches your eye, and then something else catches your eye, and this is that the bushes and certain tufts in the grass ahead of you aren't where they were a few minutes ago.
Ooh.
I'm going to give you a chance to respond to that before I just say you're riding on for a moment more.
That's a bit weird, isn't it?
Bloody mysterious.
Are you going to keep riding?
Well, I can't think of anything else to do.
Cool. Okay, I'm going to give you guys one of these each. No, I'm going to give both of them to you, Gex.
Yeah.
And I want you to give one to somebody because you know what the deal is with that now.
Well, I'll give it to Spaniel.
Okay.
Because the bushes that you saw move and several other bits of the grass as you ride past these pylons stand.
Oh boy.
And you realize that you've more or less instantly been surrounded by, let's say, on a quick glance, 10 people wielding, they are not spears, what are they called in this? Yoke, which are almost like a forked spear. They're commonly used by animal herders. Animal herders, and they are like a pitchfork, but makes a pretty decent weapon. You will know from experience. These are some of the people. The people are wearing camouflage. They have big bits of grass and turf tied to their backs, but the way that they stand, they don't look like this will impede them whatsoever. They have surrounded you, and one or two are in the road. The man stood in the road, especially, is wearing heavy canvas, the kind of thing that would protect him from a lot of weather. But it isn't coloured. It certainly isn't green leather. It is of hide and plant fibre mix. And he stands and holds his yolk spear before you and says, "Stop! Surrender! Why are you coming here?"
Good after evening, sir. We just seek passage through your lands.
It's late to be travelling.
We're on an important...
But we thought we'd make it to the city before nightfall.
Yeah.
What city?
And Iron.
Indeed.
No, won't do. You'll have to stop. Dismount, both of you, and you step away from the cart. He points at you, Gav.
Oi.
Can I? Whose authority? I'm going to use my, persuasion-y things for my laws, the rules and regulations of the land. What authority do you hold to order us?
We're employees of the Sander family. You'll speak to Thomas. He's acting mayor now.
What knowledge would I have of this, Jed? Acting mayor, this town probably would know about this and how their stuff works.
So give me a roll.
Tons, 15 trained.
Right, so what you can kind of learn on that is that acting mayor implies that he's not actually the mayor, but the proper mayor has been disposed. He mentioned a family which was the Sander family and Thomas. Those names don't mean anything to you.
Okay. Who would have been in charge before?
Well, that's the implication. So the implied thing is that they're employees of the Sander family. So maybe the Sander family are, that's something you can kind of intuit, is that these are the people who would have been landowners or the authority there. But Thomas is acting as mayor. You don't know why or, what should be.
Acting. So who what happened to the previous mayor? Good sir.
That's what we're finding out. Get down.
Guys,
Oh.
if these guys are working on behalf of a family and they recognise the authority of a mayor, then perhaps we can reason with them. So I suggest we go and speak to this Thomas person, because they seem fairly civilized people.
Okay.
And we can discuss his legal place as mayor when you speak to him, if you wish.
Oh, I don't mean like that.
I mean, they don't
good-
seem.
good
What I'm
doctor.
saying is, I don't believe they don't seem to be just bandits. So I think we're possibly safe with our cargo. That is.
From our perception rolls, is the good doctor's assumption of not being bandits kind of correct? Jed? Do
They don't
Ratchet?
look like bandits. They aren't wearing they aren't wearing any
Green.
other weapons, for one thing. They aren't wearing Nalgena green.
I would like to.
They are close enough to the town that if they weren't resident in the town, then the residents would probably have run them out. Although they're quite well camouflaged, it's like, if they wanted to have ambushed you on your way in, they could have done that anywhere in the hills.
I would
Yep.
like to
What they
address
want
them
is-
and just say something along the lines of, well, assuming you guys agree, we'll come with you, but we need your word of honor that you won't tamper with our possessions or cargo. Our possessions or our vehicle, I would say. I won't mention the cargo.
Your vehicle's to be impounded. Won't leave town until we're happy Thomas is happy.
And our possessions.
No one's to pass through town. Everyone's to meet with Thomas. That's the orders. These guys look like, I mean, when I've said that the weapons that they're using, where they're positioned, that sort of thing, they look like they've been there for some time. The way that they're stood is defensive rather than offensive, if you know what I mean. And it's just as, although saying, are they bandits is a reasonable question, it would be just as reasonable to assume they were defending the town in some way or another.
So we go with them, lads.
Fair enough. I think I'd like to wait with the cart, though. We have a duty.
One of the men kind of starts edging closer and says, "Back off from it. We're taking it." And
All right. Just let me get my stuff. I'm gonna waddle up to the back of the cart and slide out the cargo box we have, throw it over his shoulder, and turn back to the guy who was talking and say, "Well, take us to Thomas then."
And he looks around and nods at everybody else, and they start walking kind of in formation. The guy who was walking closer is going to come and take try and take the bridle of the Anine. Sam and Gex, are you guys going to dismount, or are you going to stay up on the cart?
I'll
Yes,
dismount
no,
and
dismount.
I'll genially or grudgingly, I guess, hand the reins to the gentleman. So
Yeah.
Can I grab my bundle of spears and wrap them in some cloth and put them over my back?
Are you going to try and do that sneakily so that they don't know that they're spears, or?
No, they haven't told us to disarm.
No, that's true. They haven't.
Yeah, I'm just going to grab my things and put them over my shoulder. Not in an aggressive manner, just going to grab my things.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and they're not. They won't stop you, but they will. Yeah, take the Anine and lead it along. And Archibald, to his credit, reacts fairly well. He's used to meeting people and being moved about. And because you're there, it's kind of all right.
So
And you walk.
Sorry, I was going to say, so what's up with all these Nolgena hanging from the poles?
They're causing trouble. We don't want trouble here in Sanderglen.
Yeah, we ran into a few days ride north and a bit of trouble with them trying to extract coin from us. You'll understand why we were a bit wary.
Yeah, coin's the least of it. Shins is the least of it. We don't let them in Sanderglen.
Good.
What
Good.
tribe are you with?
Oh, can we say that we are with? Hold up. We are with Quotors Incorporated. Maybe. Bill's company.
Yeah, that was Quotor, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Sounds mercantile rather than tribal.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Oh,
We
We're
are
bus-
business.
We are businessmen. We are willing to negotiate because we are businessmen.
Yes.
You don't wear colours.
No.
Mainly brown.
Yeah, I wear the khaki of an adventurer, good sir.
Yeah. Keep walking. Thomas is in the what the fuck is Thomas's building called? Give me a minute. I've got this written down somewhere.
Is that Thomas or Thomas?
Thomas, I'm spelling Tomasz.
Thomas.
I'm just going to ask the guy, what's the name of this wonderful town, good sir?
Sanderglen, you listening?
Apparently not.
How far is it to Iron?
Day or so, day and a half. Don't know. Not been.
I did have that written last time, but I've spelled it a different way now.
I don't think I told you the name Sanderglen before today.
I've got it written down.
Really? Okay, wild.
I've written Sanderglen now, and I previously have Sanderglen, so
Yeah,
with an
fine.
I.
Yeah,
so
cool.
yeah, apparently you mentioned it.
Yeah, okay. Fuck is Thomas's? Thomas is in the Roadhouse. I'm just calling it the Roadhouse now. I had a name for
Yeah.
it, but I don't care anymore. I've stopped caring.
Cool. Do you look like Kevin Bacon? Can he look like Kevin Bacon, please?
Thomas.
Yeah.
You can imagine looking a bit like Kevin Bacon. I have a couple of notes as to how he looks, but you can add Kevin Bacon around that.
Okay. Thomas is Kevin Bacon. Wait, Kevin Bacon was in Roadhouse, right?
You're thinking Swayze. Swayze in the
Fuck!
Roadhouse.
Okay, can he look like Swayze, please?
They look the same anyway.
Okay. Thomas is Swayze. Got it.
The Roadhouse appears to be, it turns out to be another, similar to the Quiet Corner, similar to the fuck, what was the one you went past yesterday? Not Tanner's. There was the one that you stopped and bought oil.
Yeah,
at,
Gav
and
bought
that's-
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and I can't remember what that was called.
Yeah, my keyboard's acting weird. I can't take notes this session if somebody else can. Like I click on notes and then when I start typing, the text all goes funny and disappears.
Wait, but when, oh yeah, well,
Lowland Inn.
Lowland Inn is exactly right. Yep.
you have written stuff. You've written Gufka.
Yeah, no, I know, but when I certain letters and it just freaking pages down a few times. Anyway,
Sorry if I
Okay.
seem disorganized. It's like I say,
So-
I'm working across a couple of notebooks now for this bit. It is slightly larger than, say, the Quiet Corner, but it's about the same size as Tanner's, to be honest. This is the kind of place that it's positioned, as you are now finding out, that people more or less have to stop there. It's the only thing for miles around. There are stables. There is the smell of food and steam. The only thing that's worth noting is, obviously, unlike Tanner's, unlike the Lowland Inn, unlike the Quiet Corner, it seems empty. There's no evidence of other guests here.
Sorry, I'm going to be annoying. What was the town called again?
Sanderglen.
With an ER.
Yeah, I spelled it with an ER, yeah.
Cool. I spelled it correctly this time.
My original draft, it was called Sanders Gulch, but Sanderglen is better.
Doesn't make me think of Gooch.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's a
That's
plus.
why I changed it.
Zero
'cause,
pristine
yeah.
mind.
I don't want people writing Gooch accidentally in the notes for this session.
I've written it now.
Fine. Yeah, so yeah, this is the roadhouse. The town around you is as I say, it's closing down for the night. You can't make out much of the buildings, but there is a town square. There are other stores and stalls there, so other people do work there. But you know, on the town square, the only place that's open now is the roadhouse. You are led outside it by this party of men that have accompanied you at the road, and then stopping and being pointed at with these forked spears, the yolk. You notice that your Anine is led away.
Still attached to the cart, or just
Yeah, it's still attached to the cart, and obviously Gav took the box from it. Sam took the box. Sam took his spears from it.
You better look after Archibald. He's a good lad.
It'll be kept safe.
Now,
But nice and safe.
safe and well fed.
Yeah.
And kept cared for.
We don't abuse animals here.
Well, that's reassuring. Only
Animals, yeah.
Only bandits.
Animals never cause trouble. Only get led wrong.
There.
True.
And you don't really see where they head off to. They're led between two buildings that are on the far side of the square and kind of led off. And one of the men goes and opens the door to the roadhouse and says, Thomas is upstairs. Smell the fireplace. That's his room.
Cool. Cheers, bruv. I didn't say that. Thank you.
Okay.
And as I said, you go into the ground floor is effectively like any number of travelers' taverns, any number of roadhouses. It has a bar with a barkeeper. It has a whole number of tables. There's a piano in the corner, a small stage where an act could be booked to perform. Although almost all of this is empty tonight. There is a fire lit. You know, the barkeep is working. There is food being brewed up and served. And then there is a grand staircase at the far end from the door.
Trouble afoot, that sounds.
Well, let's go find this Thomas. See what he's got to say.
And as you head up, there are lanterns lit on the ground floor. But as you go upstairs, the lanterns in the hallway have not been lit. No light peeks from under doorways, except for, as promised, one. There is a lantern lit outside, and there is light coming from under the doorway. I'm going to get you guys, as you go up, to make me perception checks one more time.
One more time.
I don't.
15.
2.
I'm blind.
Yeah.
I rolled a 1.
Gav, you rolled well enough there. You hear, as you head up, it does not appear to be coming from inside the building, a swooping noise. Outside the building, you hear a kind of whoosh, like almost a very strong wind, much stronger than you were experiencing when you were out there. And then it ends. That's all you kind of hear from that.
Should.
But the three of you make your way up there, and are you going to go directly into the office, or?
Yeah.
Just going to rap on the door with the end of my whip. And just
Put a blindfold on.
open the door before he answers. Ho there, Thomas.
And you open the door as you start hearing the come in. Oh, hello. And there is a fairly luxuriously well dressed out office with a bookshelf, with a leather bound desktop, with a largish window, kind of a person's height window to the left of the door that would fill the room with light, and a fairly large fireplace off to the right, fairly, directly opposite the door is this desk, and there is a man sat behind it. He is sat still. He looks as though, looking at him, he would be tall. His head is quite narrow and his hair is slicked back. His shirt is quite a crisp white. It's one of the cleanest shirts you folks have seen, certainly since you left Orilla. This isn't a man who spent much time on the road. Looking at this man, he is looking over documents and writing as you come in, but he sits nice and straight.
You must be the mayor, yeah?
Acting mayor, I'm afraid. Oh, this is tell me, what have you been told? Our town has fallen under some quite misfortunate business.
Listen.
You gentlemen, on the other hand, seem to be, well, you are armed. You look as though you have a certain capability to you. Are you perhaps here to offer assistance?
Travelers
We
on
are-
behalf of
Yeah.
Quotors Incorporated have been waylaid by your men as we're trying to pass through this town. Who do we lose?
Crofty, it's fine,
Okay.
not important.
Yes, we're just
Waylaid.
trying to conduct business, I'm afraid.
Business. Well, I myself am a businessman. And as you come closer there, the kind of sputtering of the fire, it's the only light source in the room now. It's impressive that he's writing and reading by all this. But there is something funny about his eyes. One of his eyes is perfectly normal, but the other is kind of yellowy, and his pupil looks a little more looks a little longer on the vertical than it is on the horizontal. Ever so slightly elliptical there. But Thomas, yeah, he spreads his hands across and starts to gather up papers. He says, well, I myself, I am a businessman. I am by day proprietor of this here roadhouse on the road to Sanderglen. And as you now find yourselves in times of misfortune and peril, I am acting mayor and assistant to the Sander family, who are themselves the patrons and owners of this fine valley.
Why have you become acting mayor?
Well, this is indeed the nature of the misfortune, you see. Gentlemen, would you care to seat yourselves? And he points. You haven't noticed this at this point because of the way that the door's open, but there are chairs against the back wall. 4 of them.
Right.
I'm going to
Put
remain
myself
standing.
down.
You're going to remain
I'll-
standing. Gav, you're going to sit?
Yeah, I'll plonk myself down and I'll sit the big box across my lap.
I'll sit on one chair and I'll put my feet up on another one.
Yeah, I'm just going to awkwardly stand there.
You see, gentlemen, I have been hoping indeed that a cadre of capable travellers might come my way. You see, our true benefactor and patron of this fine village and township, Starla Sanders, has sadly gone missing. My usual man about town and head of the town security is away on business, and we fear just one night past that some ruffians may have ridden into town and carried her off. That is why I must apologize for the brusqueness of our local militia and armed types, for they themselves have taken it upon themselves to guard the town from any further incursions or interlopers. I don't know why I'm doing this voice.
It's fine.
Sorry, is it Kevin Spacey in House of Cards? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah. Needs a little bit more whistle in it.
It is now.
Oh, beautiful. Carry on.
We're just confusing our Kevins here. It's fine. Yeah.
What was it's Sander, wasn't it?
Sander
family.
Gulch is the thing. The family are the Sander family. Starla Sander is the kind of head of the family at the moment.
And he's been kidnapped.
She,
She, Starla.
Starla, Sander has gone missing. He's telling you it's possible that someone's kind of kidnapped her.
Did anyone get a good look at these ruffians?
Oh, well, no, I'm afraid not. Those who were in attendance of her household have been themselves dispatched. They remain in the chapel for burial services. It is a terrible tragedy when there is death by a hand other than that of time in our town, and yet for so many to come to such a noble house on our lovely evening. Well, the wounds are fresh, and it is for that reason that, well, today has been a day of mourning for the deaths. Tomorrow shall be a return to work and a return to searching for our beloved Mayoress. And so we shall be returning to usual business tomorrow. Gentlemen, being what I presume to be as I say, cadre of capable travellers on the road, may I impose upon you? Indeed, it pains me to say that I must. Will you help us find and rescue Starla Sanders?
What's in it for us?
What
I'm
about those Nalgena folk hanging from the poles on the way into town? What's
Indeed,
that
they
all
were.
about? You having trouble with them?
Well, as I say, we do have certain incursions from certain ruffians. Those men were dispatched by my very own head of security, my sheriff, and he came upon them trying to rustle up some of our beeves, some of our cattle from the pasture to the east.
And is it all Nalgena not welcome here, or is it just those few folk?
We try to discourage that particular ethnicity from entering our fine valley. Most of the time they know when to stay the boundaries and choose to circumvent our fine glen. But from time to time they try their luck and are met with misfortune.
Well, that seems like justice to me.
Oh yeah, keep it up.
Mm.
Those guys are a-holes.
They're a bunch of dickheads, really. Let's be honest.
I must repeat my mumbled question. What's in it for us?
Well, you fellas didn't walk into town by yourselves, did you?
No.
And your cart and travel now? Do you intend on walking out?
I mean, we
Yes.
could, but I've grown quite
Yes.
attached to Archibald personally.
Didn't
What?
feel particularly enamored with beating up 10 shepherds.
Well then, gentlemen, I shall offer you both the carrot and the stick on the platter at once. If you are able to recover and revive Ms. Starla Sanders, return her to her righteous place on the town's leadership, I shall provide you with whatever I may be able to within my own humble resources. Safe passage all the way to Iron. I assume that is indeed your destination. And
How many? Hang on, before we carry on. How many days was it we were expected to be there? Was it? Was it a week?
Yeah.
So we have 3 days before we have to be there.
Yeah.
was there a week stipulated on the original contract?
It was an amount of time. I remember we had to meet someone there, and we left a day early.
Glaive, head of tribal. Oh my god.
Look, if the things are as important as they say he is, the sense of time is probably not as important.
Well, if it's taking us 3 days to get this far and we're quite close to Ein, I don't think we have that
We've
much
got,
to worry about.
yeah, we've got some
Yes.
time.
Okay.
So,
I must say, gentlemen, if you are unwilling to help me, well, I must close my fist a little tighter and suggest that I will not be releasing your transportation until you agree to help.
that's company transportation. This doesn't belong to us. So, we're kind of in a bind.
Yeah, you would be just well, making more enemies, it would seem.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I suppose it
come out of our
shouldn't have
pay.
to.
I
it
wouldn't
shouldn't have
recommend
to-
that course of action with our employer, and I think you probably value business as much as any man. And it would appear if you did that action, you might be cutting off the hand that feeds you, so to speak. And I'm happy to roll persuasion on that, Jed.
Yeah, give me a roll.
Just as a don't threaten us, because that's not really cool kind of vibe. 19 and trained in it.
Yeah, that's pretty good, isn't it?
It's pretty
Yeah.
good.
He looks sheepish for a second there and kind of looks around on his desk and says, "Well, I admit no disrespect, gentlemen. You cannot blame a businessman from attempting to exploit his assets. I tell you what." You gentlemen agree to help me find Ms. Starless, bring her back to town unharmed, or should the heavens so will it, should the Numenera so fall, harmed but with evidence of her demise, I will guarantee you safe passage, a well-fed, and indeed, if you should so desire it, a replacement anin which has not been ridden for any days at all. And, well, let me see if I have 200 shins for you apiece here in my safe. And he points over and pats the corner of his desk.
I do like those carrots.
200 shins. Well, I suppose you make that 250 apiece, and you've got yourself a deal.
He smiles a kind of shrewd smile, and you can see him nodding before he says, "Well, I think 250 apiece is a fair price to pay for the security and safety of our matriarch."
I'm going to kind of look at everyone else as I say it to make sure that they're in a nodding mode.
Yeah,
Gentlemen,
bit of a nod. Yeah.
do
Yeah.
we have a compact?
I'll spit in my hand and offer it to him. That seems entirely socially inept of me to do, so I'm going to do it.
He looks at you and he's trying not to curl his face up, and he lifts a hand, and you notice, I mean, for all this, the way this fellow is very groomed, his fingernails are quite stubby, quite kind of rough and a little bit yellow. Like I said, his eye was a bit yellow. This is something that's, his fingernails are thicker than they should be for a man who's otherwise incredibly well groomed. But he comes up and he shakes your hand nonetheless, and says, "What is more, being the proprietor and purveyor, and indeed my own very patron of the only space of accommodation in this fine town, I shall grant you all beds for the night. In the morning you may..." And suddenly there's a knock at the door. And the door opens, just as it did before, and Thomas, still holding your hand, Sam, looks up and sees the person behind you and says, "Ah, Larell, you have returned." And standing in the doorway is a tall man, considerably less well groomed. His face has a kind of rough stubble. He's wearing a coat similar to the canvas that the farmers outside were wearing. It's the same kind of dusty canvas in a long coat that comes down to his mid shins, and then underneath this he's wearing a cracked brown leather. He has a largish knife strapped to his hip, and then something else strapped across his chest. You fellas can make me rolls in identifying Numenera if you'd like.
Not I.
You're welcome to roll if you'd like, Gav, but I trust you have an inability in this, I think.
16.
Yeah, I do.
Gex, that's a 4, and I don't know that you were trained in this one, where you was salvaging for you, wasn't it?
I thought it was both. Understanding. he's
Sorry, I'm
trained in,
muted.
yeah.
I'm muted. Sorry. Yeah, understanding. I am trained in.
You're trained in understanding, and Sam, you are also, or you are focusing on this reflex skill, aren't you? Yeah.
Yes. Focusing on the num-nums.
Yes. So this is strapped across his chest is very clearly a weapon. It has it is in itself. It has a metallic section that's about the length of an outstretched hand, and then coming off it at a right angle. And at a right angle, it has a wooden grip, and this is carved in a way that it would be very easy to grab. It's remarkably different than, say, a knife. So the knife on, where a knife to handle runs in line with the metal section, this thing has the grip at a right angle to the metallic section, but it has, a barrel like a blowpipe might have, and then another section which appears to be kind of wiring and maybe fiber optic into it. As I say, it's sized and has the look of, the streamlined look of a weapon. It is holstered to be quickly drawn from his chest.
Okay.
Fine looking weapon.
And the last thing about this man, Lyrel, he is wearing a broad-brimmed hat.
Ooh.
So it's kind of, not quite a round brim, but quite a broad brim with a divot in the middle of the top of it. And Thomas now is definitely smiling, and he says, "Gentlemen, my sheriff, Blue Lyrel, sadly away from town these past 24 hours. Should he have been here, we can only imagine what greater fortune may have befallen the town. Lyrel, I have news for you. I do not know what has been passed on from those outside, but never fear. These gentlemen are here to assist. Fellas, may I, if I may be as bold, please take any rooms you like. Meet Jones at the bar downstairs. He shall arrange food and warmth in any rooms that you like, and come back to see me in the morning, please. I must discuss things with my man about town."
That's fair.
Okay.
I'll just say that's a fine looking weapon you got there, Sheriff.
And Lyrel looks at you and squints his eyes a little bit and walks past.
All right. That's good.
And you catch him kind of glimpsing down at your whip and your own leather clothing, and then eventually kind of up at the brim of your hat and steps on past you.
Yeah. I see. Very well. Guess we'll go see. Oh shit. Jones. Sorry. 3-second memory. Have we been ushered out? Would you say?
So Thomas doesn't rise from the desk. Lyrel kind of just steps past you. But Thomas has kind of encouraged you to go downstairs to the bar and pick a room, and then ask Jones to heat it and get you some food.
Okay.
Grab any old room then, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, let's do it.
There are 16 rooms on the corridor that you're in. They are numbered as such. So there's 8 on each side, and then you are at the end of a corridor.
Take the one right beside the mayor's room.
So you'll take room number 8 or 9?
I'll take number 16 because I like the number.
16's down at the far end, so it's near at the top of the stairs.
Fine by me. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Before we all disappear into rooms, also I don't care which one I'm in. Don't you think it's like, I assume we're out of earshot of the fucking Lyrel and whatever now?
I'll leave the room and close the door.
You can hear them mumbling after the door is closed there, but without stopping and trying to listen, you're not going to be able to make out what they say.
No, okay. I just wanted to say it seems mighty convenient that he wasn't in town.
Hmm.
Yeah, I wonder who gains the benefit from her disappearance.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
My
Do you see-
suspicions are lying there for the
Nice.
morning, however.
And he seems like an asshole.
You see the look of that weapon, though. Oof. He does have a nice hat.
Think you should go and knock him out with your cipher and we'll steal it.
I'll find some way to get it off him. Well, I was going to forego payment to try and get that weapon. Once I saw that steely look in his eyes, I don't think he'd go for it.
Anyway, until the morning.
Very well.
You're in here, I'll go in here. I'll just get whatever room's left.
Sam, roll me a d20.
11.
That's the what room you're in.
That works.
And I didn't make 20 rooms, I just made 16, but we don't have a d16. I could have got you to roll 2d8, I guess.
But then there's been no chance of him getting room 1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
The best room, probably.
Yeah.
And Gav, you're going into room 8?
Yep.
So that's fine. So, I mean, you can pick those rooms, and all of them are identical, the ones that you fellas have picked. They have a wardrobe, they have a bathtub, but no kind of bathroom. And, they have steel framed beds with kind of straw filled mattresses. The mattresses are pretty equivalent to the ones you would have stayed in Tanner's, but it's kind of rare for a roadhouse to just have one bed in every room. For a place like this that had, decent stables, the odds of them only having 16 guests at one time seem kind of surprising. And if you gather that, at Tanner's when you were there might have been, 50 people trying to stay there on a busy night.
Cool.
But regardless, after picking a bed, after laying, Gav, you going to lay down your box and kind of leave it in there, or?
I don't need this room heated. I'm a big fat dude. I don't give a shit. No, and I'm taking the guardianship of this box quite seriously. So, just like the last place, if there's room, I'll slot it in under the bed.
Yeah.
And I'll just grab whatever blanket's there, and I'm kind of doing my best to maybe just stay quiet and see if I can hear anything from outside.
Yeah. You're going to get kind of hunched up there and listen to it. And again, you can hear the mumbling. Bear in mind, you've got 2 doors between you and them now. You can hear kind of muttering and mumbling, and both voices kind of talking fairly casually, but you can't make out much in the way of detail. There are questions back and forth. Thomas's voice is a little louder than Lyrell's. Lyrell is not quite whispering, but laconic in his speech. He doesn't give an awful lot away, and yet he answers the questions that come up. He gives out information. These are things you can pick up through the cadence of it. And then after a few minutes, you hear Thomas's door open, and you hear the clupping of the boots, the slight shake of the leather and the harnesses that he's wearing.
Yeah.
With his knife and his whatever it is strapped to his chest, making his way down the hallway and down to the stairs. Sam and Gex, are you fellas gonna just get in your rooms, same as Gav, and go to bed, or are you gonna go and arrange for food, arrange for heating?
Well, I don't think I'm particularly inclined to give a shit about heating either, but food would be nice.
Yeah, I'll get both. Fuck it.
So you can go downstairs, and as I said, this is a fairly well decked out kind of tavern. There are farming implements on the walls, as you'd expect in a country pub. Little bits like that. And Jones is wearing also a white shirt, but not the black trousers that you will have seen in Marceau's house. He isn't wearing the sharp black and white there. He has an open-necked white shirt and is cleaning glasses and putting things away. And as he sees you arrive, he puts his hands down on the bar and says, "Gentlemen, you've met with the landlord upstairs. Will you be staying the night? Will you be staying long?"
We'll be staying one night. Hopefully get an early start.
Indeed.
Oh, excellent. Well, it's been a dark day for Sanderglen. As many hands as we can, helping things along the way. It's been a sad day for Sanderglen, indeed.
Yeah. What do you know about the old kidnapping there?
Oh, it's terrible. Blue Lyrell, Sheriff Lyrell, he was away on business. The boss upstairs had him away on business, and some crazies from the hills out to the west has ridden into town and snatched our mayor away.
What
Snatched
business?
poor Starla, poor young Starla. I don't know. Well, he swoops in and out from time to time. He's only just flown back in himself now.
Starlight.
Back in. Okay. Intriguing. Flown. What kind of contraption is this?
Oh, he has a wind rider. I know a wind rider is something that's not like especially common in the setting, but you'd have seen them. I guess it's a bit like people owning private helicopters now or something like that. You can see a picture of a wind rider in the rule book, and let me remind myself exactly which page it's on.
This Lyrell has the Wind Rider. Sorry.
He at least had it to use, yeah.
Yeah.
Page 103, I think, has them.
Whether or not it's his is yet to be seen, isn't it, I suppose?
But 103 is the rules for the Wind Rider. Where is the bloody picture of it? Maybe it isn't there at all. Okay, fine.
You are uncertain of what business this man disappears on.
303. Sorry, folks.
It's okay.
I don't like to get involved with what Lyrell is up to.
Yes, well, that's understandable, I suppose.
Yeah, at the bottom of page 303, there's a
Cool.
Wind Rider, and it is a kind of large wing that a person can ride on.
So what the hell is a sheriff doing outside of town?
Yes, who can sheriff from outside of his establishment's a very good question.
Are you there at the bar, Gav?
Oh, sorry. No. Yeah.
Same question.
But
yes,
well,
that is the question on all of our minds.
Well, and Jones looks a little bit sheepish, like he's it's not that he doesn't want to answer. It's like he hadn't thought of the question before, or whether it's just but people have important business. People come and go from Sanderglen. I mean, everybody travels through town. I wasn't.
You don't seem to have that many beds for if that many people travel through the town, though.
Well, now then. See, now we Thomas Roadhouse. The Roadhouse is this is a premium establishment. Not everyone can afford to stay here. We provide an exquisite service. I mean, you let's fetch you fellas some food, and you can see exactly what makes Sanderglen what it's known for.
I would like some exquisite service.
And he he bangs his hands twice on the bar, like, you know, in a rhythmic kind of way, but he's not clapping, he's not dinging a bell or anything like that. And a big fat fella in an apron comes through the door as though he had been waiting for you. And he's got two plates of meat and vegetables. It's steaming hot, and then has a kind of gravy over it.
Nice.
There you go, fellas. Fresh brew.
Thank you.
Fresh sauce. Good and hot.
Nice.
And plonks them down on the bar, and from a pocket on his apron, he brings out 2 sets of cutlery and lays them out next to you. Eat up. Let Jones know if there's anything more you need, but if you're still hungry after all that, well, I think I need to do better. And he turns, and the big fat fella turns and walks back in to the door behind the bar.
Cool.
And Jones, as you begin to eat, if you begin to eat right away, or as the food is set out for you, he starts telling you, he starts talking about, yeah, we have all sorts of guests come through here. I mean, there are traveling merchants, there are entertainers. I mean, sometimes people stop and perform on the stage. Sometimes it's totally unplanned. Every so often, Thomas gets them in. The locals absolutely love that. I mean, it's wondrous to have kind of, entertainers, people that can sing, or people that have captured amazing artifacts and amazing Numenera, and they display things here. You see the wall up at the back is painted white, and you can see the wall at the back is painted white. We had a guy in here 2 or 3 weeks ago, gentleman from Ramen, and he projected like a shadow puppetry, a shadow play up onto the wall there, and he told this story about Angulan knights and the taming of the first side drakes, and it isn't really taming, but what the story goes like. This was so exciting, and this is all covered by Mr. Thomas. I mean, we understand not everybody can stay here. There's plenty of room for people to move through, and lots of people like to stay at the lowland. Lots of people like to stay at the riverhead, and yes, not everybody comes through Sanderglen. There are other ways around the hills, but this is the best way to go. We're incredibly proud of what we have here. And the Sander family, there'd be no town at all if it weren't for the Sander family. Oh gods, oh my goodness, by losing them, I mean, Starla's the last one left. And Jones becomes incredibly kind of maudlin all of a sudden. He starts to look very sad, like he's just realised what he's saying.
What happened to the rest of the family?
They got old, and Eunice didn't make it through last winter, and Starla had to pick up the reins, and she's been mayor now for nearly a year, and she's been great. And I don't know what we'll do without her. I mean, there'd be no town at all without them. There'd be no Sanderglen without the Sanders, and they do so much that we can't even hope to keep up. They do so much that we can't even see. A person could walk through this valley and have no clue of how much work the Sander family do. And and Thomas does what he needs to do, but give me a minute. I have this written down here because I had a bunch of other names of people in the village. I totally did. Bloody hell. Where is it? Sorry, fellas. I had names of other characters. And I haven't lost them. And those boys at the store, they don't. I mean, they grouse, but nobody really means it. Everybody loves the Sanders, and we've got to get Starla back. We've simply got to pay those weirdos and those freaks in the hills. They've got to stop.
What can you
Don't worry, we'll pay some retribution.
What can you tell us about the weirdos in the hills? Anything, or if anything?
No, I don't think so. I don't know much. I don't tend to go out.
Interesting. What's the deal with the valley? Our companion said he didn't recall seeing the valley last time he came this way. It seems to be a recent addition.
What do you mean?
This valley that the village is located in, he didn't recall seeing it before.
Well, he must have come a different way.
Interesting. Very well.
Did that person seem sincere saying that?
Give me something like.
I
Give
don't
me one of
believe
your social rolls. I know you're bad at those, so.
Yep, that sounds reasonable. Social
Alright,
roll. Two.
it.
Extra bad.
Can I perceive whether
Yeah.
he's being sincere?
It isn't the perception like you're noticing something that might be hidden, but I'll
Okay.
let you make a roll
I'll
anyway
just
to
do
see.
a roll with no.
It's just a straight roll.
Very good one. 17.
Yeah, it's like he's a bit too quick saying it. Like he hasn't considered any other alternative or the possibility that it's as if if I rode through Sheffield and I said Sheffield wasn't here last time I was here, you'd kind of go, well, yeah, it was.
Don't be stupid, yeah.
And yet you've got no reason to doubt what Elias was saying either. So
This guy
somebody's wrong, but
this
you
guy
can't work out which yet.
seems to think that it's always been here. Interesting. So we've asked about. He said, but whatever Thomas does for the town. We want to ask him about that, Sam. Arnold.
Whatever Thomas does for the town.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. What did Thomas do previous to becoming acting mayor?
Well, he runs the roadhouse. He's a businessman.
He did say he was a businessman.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of influence around here before?
Well,
The
so
mayor
there's a
went
few
missing?
folks, but yeah, he's well respected. The Sanders meet with him, and I mean there aren't a lot of business owners, full stop, are there? So
So he has a monopoly.
Is he own a house? Does he own any more things around town?
no, just the roadhouse. The Sanders have well, most things belong to the Sanders, and then fucking hell, I had the name of another. I don't want to go over this, and then sorry, I had a whole bunch of notes for the town as to who owned what businesses and things like that, and I fucking lost them. So I'm just going to make up some names from what I can remember. So Billy Grouse, he owns the general store. And then there's Thomas, and then there's there's Starla Sanders, and she well, they own the land, so the valley is theirs, and all the farmers kind of work for them, so all the livestock, that's and Bunsen obviously runs the farm. Bunsen runs the market and the farm there, but he again that's Sanders stuff.
Mm-hmm. And there's no bad blood between Sanders and any of these other people?
No, I mean, but like I say, Billy Grouse, well, he likes to grouse, he likes to make his noise about things, but
Hence the name.
Bunsen's we've been working for the Sanders as long as there's been a it's been a Sanderglen, so
What about trade with what's it called? Alain?
Iron.
Iron, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's here on the table. You can read it.
Yeah. So what's
yeah, people come through. We sell them meat. We sell them, hides. People pass by. People come in, empty their pockets, buy a few ales, buy some of these lovely meals that our fine chef has cooked up for you. Who doesn't have a name because Jed hasn't written it down.
Oh, I was going to ask you about for his name earlier as well, but I thought
Bubbles. His name is Bubbles.
Thought I'd be kind.
Okay. So no bad blood with any outside towns, no rival families really notable other than the people in the hills.
We do well for ourselves, and people keep to their own business. I mean, Glaive has had enough hard times. Everybody knows how it goes.
Seems awful quiet in here. No one else staying at the Roadhouse tonight?
Alas, we did have some guests the night before, but they were only here for the one night, and then when this morning's tragic, horrible news broke out, asked me not to have any more guests. And
Oh.
then those boys in the fields, well, they brought people here because Thomas wanted to meet with people, but people have just come by and come go.
Very well. Interesting.
Now, like I say, not everybody gets the chance to stay here for free, let alone.
Well, no, it's a pretty sweet deal. This gravy's fantastic, by the way.
It is. It's fairly good food. The vegetables themselves taste kind of good and fresh, like they're they've been very lightly cooked, and they've still got a lot of fiber to them. They've still got a lot of flavor to them. The meat is astounding. Like it's very soft and very flavorful. This
Perfect.
is this is almost certainly the animals that you saw outside, which means it might have traveled a grand total of about 50 meters from the field where it lived to the kitchen.
Fresh as anything.
It's incredibly fresh, practically still kicking on the plate like that, and it's been seared and cooked gently. It's well cooked all the way through, but not too hard.
It's had a good rest.
Yeah, the flavors in everything are not too strong, but just right, in the meal. This is probably the only meal that this kitchen makes, but they make it very well.
Fair. Any further questions, Arnold?
Not really.
He's already clammed
thank
off
you.
about those hill boys, so I say we ask someone else.
Yeah. Thank you for your time and this lovely meal. Get sit on our own table. Still, everything is pointing towards an inside job, to my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I reckon it's the fucking Thomas. I'll chuck a shin to Jones. I'll tuck two shins on the bar and say one for you, and give one to the to Bubbles, the chef back there.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. We've taken the fires up to your rooms to be started. Your travelling friend didn't answer the door when we knocked, but the others were unlocked.
Yeah, he's unconcerned with such base matters as being warm.
Gav, I suppose I should check with you. Did you answer when they knocked?
No, I'll just stay here. I'll
Okay.
sleep. Like I'll say I was sleeping.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Once we're done down here, I'll go give the secret knock and just relay everything to Gav, to Brother Elias.
That's fine. The story about the wind going over the head probably matches up with the swoop you heard earlier on, Gav.
Oh yeah, that'll be him arriving.
Oh, that makes sense. Yes.
But yeah, we'll just say, everything's a little sus. I don't know whether we can trust this Blue Lyle character. We haven't spoken to him.
Lyrell.
Yeah, that's my own writing. This mayor is shifty as fuck, and the barman clammed up about the hill people, so that's important, I think.
And the fact that the valley had changed.
Yeah.
Or not changed.
I reckon the grouse guys be the ones to talk to next, because they're if they have some kind of grumbles, that seems more than anyone else has so far.
Yep. I'd agree with that statement.
If Bunsen runs the farm, he might know something about the attackers if they're a regular occurrence. We know Jack.
Need to find someone who was there at the incident.
Yeah.
Witness.
Very well.
So you were told that the staff in the Sander house were killed and are laid up in the chapel.
Oh yeah, should probably check them out as well.
Yep.
A good autopsy.
See if it fits with the hill people's method of killing people, which I assume is tribal.
Stabbing. All right. Anything else this evening?
I'm good with that.
Yes.
Sleep anyway.
All right.
Have a snooze.
Kip. And scene.
Yeah, and you're able to go upstairs, and as I've described, the beds there are, rough, but they're fairly, they're comfortable. They're certainly serviceable, and they're no worse than the ones you had in Tanner's Roadhouse the night before. What's nice is having a well-stocked fire to go into the room, and so by the time you get up there, the rooms themselves are warm, which and you can tell, especially when you stand near the windows, that things are cold outside. But you're able to get down into bed. The night itself is quiet. But you awake in the morning. To again another latish dawn. Gav, especially, you are awake a little bit before dawn at this point. For the first time in a while, your room, Gav, has gotten quite cold in the night, as any heat that was in there and that you haven't been able to keep distinctly in the bed has seeped out through the glass of the window. There's a thin layer of condensation and dew, especially on the windowsill just inside.
Well, I'll get up out of bed early then, and I'll check the box, open it, make sure it's still got its contents.
Untampered with. The 8 stones that you remember putting in there are in where they should be.
All right, and I'll waddle down and start making noises in the main hall to get some breakfast, even if it's fucking 5:30 in the morning.
So you step down there. You can hear as you come out the fire in Thomas's room crackling still, and a little bit of light, because the hallway is dark. A little bit of light creeps down, but it is less bright than it was the night before. Sam and Gex, you will hear Gav as he comes through down the hallway. The floorboards, although they are solid, they thud fairly loudly when you walk across them, and so you'll make a decent amount of noise.
Well, I'll
Unless
get up
you're trying to
fashionably
sleep.
late.
Yeah, I'll grumble and smoke a cigarette in bed.
Yeah, I'd like to be the last up, as is my style.
I guess I'll notice that Gav's downstairs, and I'll rap on the door with
You'll
the
hear
end of
Gav
my
coming
whip.
downstairs, yeah.
Rap on Sam's door with the end of my whip and like, drag your lazy ass out of bed. We got work to do. I don't know why I'm doing that accent. I heard someone was double parked outside the tavern.
Perfect.
Double parked outside the tavern.
Roadhouse, sorry.
Don't they know this is near a school? Sorry, yes, I'll get up.
Sorry.
Gav, you make your way down to the main room, and there's no one there for a moment, but moving a chair around and kind of dragging things up and getting yourself sat is enough for somebody to come out of the room behind the bar, out of the kitchen space, you assume it is. This is a young woman. Her hair is tied back and neat, and she's wearing an apron covered in flour, and her sleeves are rolled up, and she greets you and says, "Oh, good morning, master. Will you be having breakfast with us?"
Yeah, I will. I'll have bacon and eggs and some bread, please. You're making fresh bread.
Yes, it's just coming out of the proof and going into the oven. It'll be a couple of minutes.
Oh, well, I'll wait then. Tell me, will the vicar, priest, whatever his title be, will he be up in the church at the moment?
We have an Aeon chapel. We have an amber chapel. The priest will be. Yes, there today. Yes. I don't know about yet. It's a little early.
All right.
We're still hungover.
I'll just give a shout. I'll be sitting on the porch.
Okay. And she turns and goes back into the kitchen space, And then a couple of minutes later, you hear her come out and start lighting the fire in the main hall as well.
All right, yeah, I'll literally just sit out there and watch the town come to life in the morning. See the people that are walking through it and kind of just chill there for half an hour or so, or whenever until the breakfast ready.
And that is exactly what's happening. You get out there just as that kind of pink band is starting to creep across the sky to the east, and you can see things hitting the walls of the valley from where you're sat. First of all, it gets that really nice alpenglow, and the golden bands of light sweep down so that the sky turns from dark grey through purple into blue, and the golden light of the morning starts to weave its way down like a paintbrush gently down the walls of the valley. And you've come from the eastern end of the valley. The valley runs east to west, and on the northeast corner, eventually, as the sun rises up there, you can see the road that you traveled down, and you're amazed looking at how steep it is now that you made it down safely and so clearly.
Dark, yeah.
And from within there, you cannot see out of it. You could spend your life in this valley and forget that the world outside it, that Glaive outside it, or the Steadfast exists. This is, like its own little, pocket of the world. You can hear nothing. There are no birds in the sky, as there have been all through the northern plains, and just hear the braying of animals, and as you say, the town's starting to wake up. Just after you, the farm folks do seem to be waking up. The early morning shift seems to be getting up and going out to work. Few people pass through the morning square, but you can also hear vehicles and animals moving through the streets out past the main square as well. There is a general sound of activity, but no one is chattering or laughing that much. People, generally resent getting woken up early in the cold as much as they would in any other part of the world.
Yeah, no
Very
problem.
true.
I'll just kind of, just chill there for as long as it takes.
And after a couple of minutes, the young lady comes out and says, "Sir, I'm getting ready to serve."
Oh, okay.
And as she goes back in, so Sam and Gex, as you're coming down the stairs, are you coming down the stairs together, Gex? Are you waiting for Sam to come out of the room?
I've made him aware. I'll start coming downstairs.
So you've been down a moment before, and you come down, and you can see that a table and a chair have been set up, but you don't kind of make the same kind of noise, and so you wait for a second, and then you see this young lady walk out of the kitchen, out to the front door, speak to somebody, and then come back in, and Elias follows her back in, and she turns to you, "Sir, will you be having breakfast with us as well, sir?"
Sure thing.
I'm just getting ready to serve. We have eggs and fresh bread and yes, some meat. And just the two of you?
We got a third, but he's dragging his heels. I'll take some, eggs and bacon. Got any hot caffeinated beverages?
Yes, I'll yes, I have some.
That'd be great.
I'll bring some out as well.
Nice.
Yeah, I guess I'll trundle on down at some point and be after the same thing that the boys are having.
And you manage to make your way down just as 2 plates and 2 mugs are being brought out to the table that Sam and Gex have sat at. That Gex and Gav have sat at.
And just to annoy the woman, I'll be same again, please.
And she smiles her kind of awkward little smile and nods her awkward little nod and turns around and goes back into the kitchen. The meal, the bread is properly like a kind of honeycomb texture inside. It's very well aerated, very well proved.
Right, guys,
with
just a nip to the loo. I'll be back in a sec.
Sure.
Yeah, no problem. I was going to describe the food and the drink, but that's all.
Fair.
And that's fine. Tell you what, should we take a break for a couple of minutes and then?
Would you
I'll
describe
describe
sourdough bread.
Yes, it's a lovely, delicious kind of light dough with a sharp, crispy crust on it.
Oh, I
Um,
love it. I've recently got
the
into sourdough.
the drink
It's
is
alright.
not coffee, but it's a kind of warm herbal brew.
Okay.
Smelling it doesn't smell unpleasant. It's a little bit kind of grassy to the smell, if you know what I mean there.
Yeah.
It smells a bit planty,
Made from
but
animal dung. I don't care.
even from the first sip, you can tell it's going to do the job of waking you up.
Yeah, I'll drink some of
At
that.
The meat is not clearly bacon, but it is thinly sliced. It is well cooked. It reminds you it's probably the same animal as what you ate the night before.
probably all they eat, right? That and vegetables.
Yeah, and again, it's nice and fresh, and there is some fried kind of root vegetable, something like carrots, on the side of the plate as well, with eggs.
Lovely.
Things generally they're not too oily, but things are kind of melded together a little bit where they've likely been fried and cooked together.
I approve.
Me too.
There's
Nothing
no
wrong with it.
cooking everything in the same same fucking pan, like what do they call it? Bubble and squeak, is it? Where you
Bubble and squeak.
fry up
Yeah.
potatoes and carrots and shit. Yeah. Love that.
I am going to
breathe.
drink some water myself, yeah. And you all enjoy your breakfast.
Mm. Can I roll to enjoy my breath? I won't.
You may roll as to the quality of your belch at the end of it.
Ooh. $19. Oh, that's a hearty, resonant belch. Sonorous and rich. Yeah, I'm going to go for a wee.
You hear the glasses behind the bar rattle.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a wee.
Sorry.
Oh, I just remembered I have a biscuit.
Excellent.
I put it on my bed behind my chair when I came and sat in here, and just remembered that I've got it. Give me 2 seconds. Gav, I've just described breakfast. I did it very well, and it was delicious.
No.
And Gex belched so loud that the glasses behind the bar rattled. He rolled a 90 belch.
That's his power.
It would appear that way, yeah.
I'll be right back.
Yep.
Hello.
Guten Tag.
Auf Wiedersehen. Ausgezeichnet.
So where are we going to start? We're going to start at the general store with Mr. Grumbles.
I think actually we should look at the bodies first, personally. See if we can.
Okay.
And then we can talk to. Then it seems like Grouse would be the next step, and then we could go out to the farm and talk to Bunsen.
There's also the possibility that she wanted to get away.
Yes.
Well, if we find her, then yeah. But we should. We should ask everyone the same sort of shit. Like, do you trust all of these assholes? Do you have any? Does anyone have any problems with each other? What the fuck is the deal with the fucking valley? You know. I'm just wondering if everyone here is going to be brainwashed. Maybe if they are, or unless they're all really good liars.
We can talk to that grouse guy. I think he's the main grumbler, isn't he?
Yeah, well, that's what we were saying. So I was saying,
probably the one who can see the best. Maybe.
If he's grumbling, then he's going to be less, making out that everything's great like these guys seem to be. But yeah, I do think we should speak to or go to check out the bodies as well. Some maybe first or second. What do you think?
Yeah, bodies first sounds good.
Yes. But yeah. I suppose we can ask the priest what sort of like if he prepared the bodies, would he have seen the state they were in, or how they died, opposed to going in and asking, can we see the bodies? You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because that would be quite weird.
I want to look at some dead bodies, please, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. You lock the door behind me.
Yeah.
Give me
No
that
questions.
bag,
Absolute privacy.
yeah. Put on some Gary glitter.
You're sitting and eating and discussing your plan for the day, and Lyrell walks in through the door, through the swinger doors, and he walks straight towards the stairs, doesn't glance over at the bar, doesn't kind of look around the room at all, and then halfway through the room, looks at you as he's walking and strolls past, and is almost all the way past you before he says anything, and he just says, "Well, are you coming?" And carries on walking straight through. He heads on up the stairs. His boots clop and clack, the same way that your feet also made that kind of noise on the way up there.
Right.
I mean, where? Where's he going? I don't
Yeah.
understand. Yeah.
Grab whatever food is left and fucking truck
Yeah,
along.
let's follow this mofo.
What are we going to do with this box, gentlemen? The box is sitting beside me on the bench, like as I'm eating breakfast.
I reckon we just got to put it back in the cart.
Well, I mean, it's probably safer.
These people, so far, have demonstrated no knowledge of who we are or our purpose. They're just interested in our abilities, and at least the guys with the cart seemed fairly honourable regarding keeping it safe. But we don't want to lose the shit, but we can't carry it around with us. So I say we maybe just take the leap and leave it with the stableman, if there is one.
What about leaving it with the girl who serves dinner? Giving her a couple of shins and telling her just to stick it away in the kitchens.
We just met. I don't know. What about Jones? He seems a bit more. But he could be Thomas's man. Yeah, I don't know.
What about if we split the contents of the cart between the three of us? The chest?
We could do that. Was it 6
A
stones
firm-
we have?
It was 8 stones. They're of different sizes, and some of them are big enough that they need to be in something rather than going into like a trouser pocket or something.
Yeah, well, we could get our explorer packs and just wear a backpack and take some stones each. And then try and do an Eskimo roll with too many stones in our rucksack.
Will that negatively affect us, Jed?
The bigger stones, yeah, it might be heavy enough for things like what am I trying to say? If you had to be agile at any point, it would be a bit more difficult.
Oh yeah,
So
that's kind of my thing.
If you were kayaking and went under the water.
Why don't we just leave them in a room here, and if anything happens, shit, that's another adventure.
I personally say leave them with the cart. Oh, if we need to get a quick getaway, we know where they'll be.
Okay.
They'd probably be expecting us to leave them in the rooms, if anyone were expecting anything. What do you reckon, Arnold?
I suppose so. Can we sneakily get to the cart without anyone noticing? We don't even know where it is at the moment.
Yeah.
That's one problem.
It's not going to be hard to smell the stables.
Yeah, true.
Here, well, look, I'll go and deposit them in the cart.
Okay.
If he's asking, tell him I'll follow you up in a minute, or
we'll go with Lyrell and and then Gav will do that. And he'll be with us in a minute. I'll try and match his gruff voice.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
needs to empty his bowels.
and
Oh,
finish it. I'll just nip out the front and try. I'll ask somebody if necessary, but I'll try find the stables by myself, find our cart, and just redeposit the box underneath the hay that we have there.
So there are stables built into the roadhouse.
Right. Well, I'll find Archibald then.
But that wasn't where Archibald was led to. He definitely wasn't stored there. You realise looking around there are quite a lot of animals, and this is a farming town, so there are a lot of different places that an animal in a cart could be stored around town.
I know what. Should just leave it in the room.
If you wanted to go around and look around, like I say, you could find somewhere and start asking people, or you can start going house to house and looking for things, although that's going to take quite some time.
No, that's if I'll go back into the kitchens and ask the girl.
Yeah.
We were stopped by a couple of farmers and asked to come here.
Yeah.
They packed up our Neen along with our cart and took it somewhere. Do you have any idea where they might have taken it? And I'll describe the man who was talking to us.
Oh, that sounds like Lee. No, I don't know. I'm sorry. No, I don't know. I'm sorry. You can. The roadhouse is plenty safe.
Are you Thomas's daughter?
No. My name's Lucy. I just work here.
Oh well, Lucy. If you see, we don't really know
Thomas doesn't
too well.
Thomas doesn't have children. He doesn't. And she's doing that nervous laugh that she's been doing.
Yeah, he does seem like a bit of an odd fish. Something about him.
Fish, yeah.
Anyway, I look around the kitchen. Is there could I just leave it under here and point towards, a kitchen table or a fucking cupboard or something where I can...
There's loads of stuff like that. There's loads of places like that are. Yeah. Some of them are used to store pots and things like that. And then
if we could just hide it here for today, I'm sure there'll be a nice little reward in it for you, especially if nobody knows.
Oh, yeah. Is it valuable?
Well, it's valuable to my employer.
Oh, yes, I know what that's like. Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. Yeah, okay. And she'll kind of open up a cupboard that's full of plates, just a sliding door thing, and she'll just start double stacking the plates and moving things around a bit more.
All right. Well, quietly, I'm just going to take out 5 shins and stack them up and leave them on the edge of the table there while she's doing that, and just kind of, not draw attention to those.
Are those for me? That's very polite.
Oh, yes, of course. We wouldn't. My employer wouldn't want these lost.
I'll keep it safe, I promise.
Thank you, Lucy. And it was fine bread as well.
It was.
I love good baps in the morning.
Right. I need to find Thomas's man before he runs off on me.
And so, Arnold and Hector, you've gone upstairs after Lyrel, or have you gone into the kitchen?
Oh, he was going upstairs. Yeah, I'd be following him. Yeah.
Yes, same.
So Lyrel is walking up the stairway and is clomping, and has stopped outside of Lyrel's door and is looking down at you. And as he sees you come up the stairs, he makes sure that you know that you've seen each other, and then he walks in through the door and closes it behind him.
Okay.
Wait, so he closed it in front of us?
So he walked into the office and then closed it, but kind of left it ajar. Sorry, I left after that detail.
It just fucking closes it in our face.
Just shuts you out. No, he'll push it too, so you can't directly see in. But
Okay.
He want us to hear what's going on or something.
Well, he knows that you're. He's watched. He knows that you
Are
were invited
following.
by Thomas the night before to come in and meet with Thomas some more in the morning.
All right, I guess we'll stroll in then.
Yeah. As if we own the place.
And Thomas is sat just where you left him the night before. You can see more clearly one of his eyes. Like I say, his right eye is a bit weird. Like I say, it's quite. Pardon me, coughing. Give me a second. Like I say, it's kind of yellowy and it's quite elliptical. It's not quite a slit of an eye, but the pupil is broad and narrow rather than being properly round.
I've just written gammy eye.
Yeah, but he's sat upright and he has himself a similar plate to the one that you had downstairs. There, so, gentlemen, I hope you don't mind me eating. As we speak, it is a pleasure to do business so early. But the bodily, corporeal necessities must sometimes take precedent.
Yeah, don't bother me. And I'll lay out another belch. Do you want me to roll for belching again?
Yeah, give me another roll.
One and he pukes.
A 3 on that belch.
It's just a quick little burp, but it's enough for
It's like a.
yeah.
Oh, I did a quick little burp, but my microphone didn't pick it up.
Great. Lyrel has pulled up a chair next to the fireplace, and has hung his coat up on a coat rack in the corner of the room, and is sat in his leathers, warming himself next to the fire, which is again it's kind of crackling away there. And he says, "Well, Bloom, what have you found from your night rounds? And is there anything you can do to? Are you happy for these gentlemen to assist you in your investigation?" Lyrel looks back and forth at the two of you, and she says, "Thought there was another one."
Knock, knock. Open.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cool. And
go
yeah,
in.
you come in more or less as he says it, Gavin, and he looks over at the other two. There are 3 unoccupied chairs. Are you guys going to take those, or are you going to stand?
I'll stand again, as always.
I'll sit down, yeah.
I'll same again. I'll sit down and I'll just stick my feet up on the other one.
And so Lyrel looks and seeing Elias enter, he says, "Yeah, could do with the hands. Gotta keep the town from frenzying if Starla's gone. Farmers won't know how to find their own asses if they don't know where the mayor is. You boys, you can start at the house. I'll take you by there."
The house? Question mark.
House is in quite a state.
Sanders' house.
Sanders' house. Sharp. See why he hired you.
Oh yeah.
We were hoping to start with the priest and the bodies.
Priest will be awake soon. Doesn't like the dawns, that one.
Makes sense.
Okay,
But
as you say.
you need to start with the priest. We can take you by there. You want to see where the bodies came from? You start with the house.
Brother Elias, what do you reckon?
Makes no odds to me. I think we'd be better served going into the hills and talking with these hills folk if that's where you think the trouble lies, Laurel.
Don't know that it's hill folk yet. Ain't had a good enough look at the house. Ain't had a good enough look at the bodies.
Well, the house and the bodies are right here, so which is closest?
House, I think.
Should we get a house
go.
first then, boys? Let's go.
Just a pussyfoot around, let's get on with it.
Check out the scene.
Scene of their murder.
Stand up. Pop myself down, straighten my shirt Picard style, and
Tip my hat to Thomas.
ready to go.
Lyrel stands. Thomas stays seated and carries on kind of talking and says, "Boys, I cannot thank you highly enough for your assistance in this matter, and your discretion also. Stand by, Lyrel. He won't get in your way. I can tell that you all are professionals accustomed to working with other professionals."
Sure. So we leave, I guess.
Yes. Yes, please. Let's go to the house.
Give me 2 seconds more because I'm flicking between notes and I'm drinking water just gradually.
Oh.
So we do a West Wing style walk and talk with Lyrel on the way.
Sure, and he makes a pretty decent stride along the hallway, heads on down the stairs. Is there anything you'd like to ask him in particular?
Oh, so many things. So
I just want to know all about you.
How come you were out of town?
Business.
Care to
Yeah, what
elaborate?
type of business?
I work for Thomas. Thomas sends me places to meet people.
Working for him long?
A couple of years, a few years. A little
So,
while.
what are you, the sheriff?
It's what it says, what he calls me.
So how come the landlord pays the sheriff's wages in a town like this?
Sanders didn't think they needed it. Thomas is Sanders' counsel. Close personal friend of the family, business owner, and ask me, the one who makes the decisions a lot of the time anyhow.
What's your attitude to the Sanders family? What do you make of them?
They own the land, hold the money, hold the cattle.
Yeah,
Be no Sanderglen without him, right?
it'd just be called something else.
Sure.
What's the deal with this valley? It's Brother Elias, you said you don't recall this place. You've been here before, in this area before.
A good few years back. Don't recall seeing such a strange formation of rock on the way in. But then I
Looks like-
traveled lots of roads.
Maybe you were mistaken.
Could have come another way through the hills. Could have gone around them. Lots of ways to iron.
How long's this Sanderglen been here? To your knowledge.
How'd you mean?
Well, were you born and raised here?
Might have been. What's it to you?
I'm just curious. I just want to know a little of the history of the place.
And he walks on and kind of quickens his pace a little bit.
What do you think happened here?
Think something rode in, took Starla, rode out. Come
Find
by
any
and see the
tracks?
house. Couldn't see none. Wasn't
No.
here until, well,
Oh,
not
last
seeing it in
night.
daylight.
Know anyone who might have had a grudge?
Lots of folks got grudges on the richest family in the valley.
Any more persistent or specific than that? We heard some mutterings about these grouse fellas.
Belly grouse likes to grouse. He
So,
knows as well as anyone else. Be no Sanderglen without the Sanders. They do more than anyone else could see happening.
fair. What else?
Keep hearing that.
We had mention of these. Where are we? These fellas from the west that causing trouble about these parts.
Western end of the valley, you'll see it. The land splits, the river splits. Goes to the south, keeps you on the road to Iron. Keeps going west, runs into trouble.
Yeah, we heard there's some crazies up there. You know anything about those folk?
Could be crazies, could be folks that just didn't want to live with the Sanders no more. Couldn't tell you. Never stuck around to talk to them.
Anybody used to live here left the town?
Folks come, folks go. Not so many lately. People tend to stay.
Man, a few words.
Grouse, maybe you'll meet him. Maybe newest to the town. Been here a few years. Likes to grouse, but he knows it's a good town.
Any other questions we can think of?
No, not that I'm inclined to ask this guy.
Yeah, he's not very forthcoming. I guess we'll carry on.
And he leads you out of the roadhouse and out into the town, and things are a little bit busier already than they were when Gav was waking up. Did you want to do something else quickly, Gex?
I just wanted to ask him what the deal is with his weapon.
Oh, okay. Well, you can do that in a second as we're walking through things. You come on out and you can see the stalls and the stores. You can see the general store, and there's a lantern being lit in the window, and things are being opened up there now. It looks like it's going to be already. There are some clouds starting to form in the day, and it might be a grayer, darker day than you've had over the past few. It's starting to feel cold, and maybe it'll rain this evening. Maybe it won't. It's hard to tell at this point. There's a smith starting up and starting to get the fire tracked up and stoked. What the hell else is there? There's a leather worker starting to stir up their racks of things. And you start to come out through the other end of the town square. You can see past the square and past the stalls, the sand stalls and the stores that I mentioned there. There are a lot of residential houses, and there are a lot of places that might be single layer places that are stables or barns or pens to keep livestock in if it were particularly cold weather. And there are two other larger buildings. One of them is unmistakably an Aeon Chapel. Is that the word I'm looking for there? I'm going to call it an Aeon Chapel.
The Aeon priesthood or whatever it is.
Yes, that's exactly it. That would be where the priest were based. And the other is a taller house. It is architecturally kind of similar to the Roadhouse, but the style of it is different. It's a 2-story house with another single room up at the roof, like a turret almost, and it's has a long porch on the front of it, and these are more or less on the same street. The big houses, when I say more or less, they're on the same street as one another. You go past a few other houses, and then the big house is marginally closer than the chapel. There is a lantern lit at the door of the chapel, and so as you come up, Lyrell stops as he's walking and says, "What do you know?" Karen's awake. Your choice, fellas.
Well, seeing as we're right here, shall we step inside?
I'm in agreement with that idea.
You're outside the house, but the chapel is close by. It's very close, and it has a lantern lit. There is somebody sleeping on the porch of the house with one of these yolk spears in their lap. You can recognize that this is the person possibly called Lee, who was the kind of lead accoster the night before, but they are asleep in a chair with their heavy canvas clothes wrapped around them.
Well, we could talk to the priest, but I do like waking people up. You get them at they're disarmed.
Talk to Lee later. Let's go in the house.
Well, he's on the step, isn't he, of the house?
Lee's sleeping in a chair on the outside of the house.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you meant his house.
No.
Brain's not with it.
That's right.
Yeah, just give him a polite tap with my foot as we approach the door.
He blinks and opens up. Ah, it's you.
Morning.
They're all right, Blue. And Lyrel behind them is kind of stood, and you see him nod out of the corner of your eye. Lyrel stays at the bottom of the steps up to the house.
Okay.
But the three of you can walk up.
Look back at him.
You,
What are
you
you not
coming
getting
in?
paid for this?
I've been in and seen it. Saw it last night. You fellas will do better getting a fresh insight.
Fair enough.
The house, as I described it, is kind of timber framed, and there are windows, kind of around the whole front of the house, around the outside. There are a couple of things that mark it out as being quite wealthy, and one of which is the abundance of glass. Most of the houses you've seen will have one or two windows. Most of them a single story. This one is, 2-story and must have, 3 windows on each side. On each side, on each story. The ones on the front of the house, facing into the street, are fully intact. However, you can see that the door itself is damaged. It has been smashed or possibly kicked. This is, you can see this immediately from the outside.
Is it a particularly hearty door or just a regular door?
It doesn't look like it would have taken a special effort to have kicked
Okay,
through. It
so
doesn't
it's
look better made. It's just, it's
Some big dude kicked it in, sort of thing.
Yeah.
It could have
I'll
been
be
anything.
I'll be flipping out my notepad and writing down all the things we find.
Sure. Okay, and I am going to get my notes on this place up because I had a whole bunch. And as you come up and open the door, this kind of confirms it. The door handle itself is broken. You don't need to twist the door handle. Things just kind of push open. Lee's going to stay there on the porch and kind of stand himself up, prop himself up, and stretch his shoulders, and you hear his back click as he stands, because he's been sleeping in an armchair on a veranda overnight, and he has a kind of shiver in his movement. It's obviously been quite cold. But the room itself is, it opens into a fairly sparse but big and furnished room.
Okay.
There,
Is this lit?
it is unlit except for the daylight now coming in through the windows. The windows at the back of this room, which would be facing west, you are at the western end of town, are smashed.
So it's like there was more than one point of entry, possibly. Be writing that down.
So some of them are smashed, like things have just been thrown through, or kind of missiles have passed through, and one of them is smashed in a way that a person could climb through. As I say, there are, like I say,
Signs of a
3
struggle.
windows on the side. So
Yeah.
the furniture is turned over, and there is blood against one of the walls.
There was either a struggle or people were looking for something here, apart from
You will
the
also
lady.
notice arrows stuck in some of the walls. These are arrows with red feathers.
Do
Take
we
one
have
of the
any?
arrows out and have a proper look at it.
So I'm gonna get you fellas to roll perception on these. I think is the one for it. I'm gonna just take a quick look at skills and things like that to see if I can give you anything else that's interesting. Yeah, perception is gonna be the one there.
I'll ease mine.
You're gonna ease yours again. Okay, yeah, cool.
18.
Right, cool.
And an 8.
Gex, you notice looking around. So the rest of you two fellas, you'll see these arrows stuck in, and they are, they're fairly good quality arrows. The windows have been smashed, that sort of thing. Gex, you notice that the arrows stuck in like pillars that would be supporting the ceiling. They're in this fairly large room. They're stuck into furniture, that sort of thing. You notice that these don't line up with the holes in the windows.
So they were shot from inside.
And you notice, kind of coming to the stairway, there are arrows in the walls, in the stairway in the building, and at the top of the stairs there are arrows. There is also more blood at the top of the stairs. There isn't blood on the wall, but there is blood on the floor at the top of the stairs, and there is an arrow stuck, you know, in the position where a person would be stood to have left blood there.
Okay, someone got shot up there then.
Like I said, there's no blood in the wall there. The arrow is just stuck. Gav, you were going to pick an arrow.
Yeah, just take one of the arrows from the wall to look at the actual arrow itself.
Okay. Right, fine. Roll me a d6.
2, 3.
Yeah. And so you'll pluck one from like a pillar in the kind of main dining living room kind of space. This is the one big kind of family room that's downstairs. Things have been turned over, and it comes out, and it has a stone head and a wooden shaft, and like I say, these quite fine red feathers. It would probably, your martial training would teach you this would probably fly quite well. It's a nice arrow. It's well weighted, and the feathers themselves have held particularly durable. You don't immediately recognize the animal that it's going to come from, but that's okay.
Right. I'll just tear off one kind of whatever it's called, bit of the feather, and stick it in my pocket.
Flight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. And yeah, you're looking around there. Going up the stairs, Gix, I'm going to give this to you on that 18 because you are trained and then you eased it as well. Where the blood is on the ground at the top of the stairs, you notice that there is damage to the floor, but there isn't an arrow there, and it doesn't match up with the arrows coming in. And yeah, yeah, there's like I say, there's no, sorry, sorry, I'm looking at my notes there. There is. It does look like an arrow tip has hit the floor there, so to speak. In amongst the blood. What else we notice there? And then you are getting up into bedrooms. One of the bedrooms. So there are 3 bedrooms upstairs. 2 of them are apparently untouched. One of them, the door has been smashed. And this, going into that, you can immediately tell from the decoration, this is a young woman's bedroom. It has kind of light floral patterns around the place. There are dresses. There is a smashed wardrobe with nice quality dresses strewn about the place. There's no other blood, but there is a stone-headed axe with a wooden handle embedded in one of the walls. And again, this is adorned with these same red feathers that you'll have seen on the flights of the arrows. That is stuck into like a window frame.
So night attack is in the bedroom.
There's a candle on the floor, kind of spilled out from a what am I trying to say? And that matches up with what you were told. In terms of, they said that it was the night before that she'd been taken from them.
Yeah. Okay. Need to figure out what these red feathers mean.
Is there any sort of do a look around for see if she has a diary or anything, journal?
Or left a note saying, these guys have taken me to this place.
Peace, bitches, I'm out of here. That kind of thing.
So the The room has a couple of things. Like I say, it has this bed with the floral patterned bedspreads all over it. It has a wardrobe, and the wardrobe has been smashed to pieces. But you notice in the wreckage of it there is a safe, like a metal kind of cabinet, in there, and then there is a desk also that looks like it might hold documents and the like.
Okay, let's have a look in the desk.
So the drawers of the desk are locked. There's
Okay,
nothing on it. It
well,
hasn't been damaged or anything like
Yeah,
that. But
I'll pull out a lockpick and attempt to pick it.
I will remind you, Sam, that you can pass through objects.
Oh yes, I'll just put my hand through it and grab something. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Sorry.
Yeah.
Deliberately wanted to put bits into this stage that you'd be able to make a use of there, and
Yeah. Well, I have lockpicks, but now they're totally pointless. Yeah, I'll just
Well,
put my hand
depends on the
into it.
thickness.
It's spent some. Yeah, no, it's an amount of time per thickness. It doesn't matter how thick it is. I don't think it just takes longer.
So
It's
yeah,
that
they are
anti-combat thing. That is.
This is a wooden desk, and you're used to being able to reach through wood.
Yeah.
And yeah, you go in there, and there are, you can feel with your hand kind of rolled up documents, rolled up scrolls of paper, that sort of thing.
I'm not sure I can make the paper pass through the wood though.
No. You can stick your face through, but then you won't be able to read it.
Yeah, I'll get out a lockpick, Jed.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Or attempt
Yeah.
to,
do you know what? I can't remember the rules for it.
It's going to be a speed check, isn't it?
Yeah, something. No, I mean for your pass through things. Yeah, I'll give you. Yeah, I'll give you a simple speed check. Speed is basically dex.
I don't think I could make something else that's solid be passed through, so I couldn't pull
Yeah, and I
something
think
through.
I recall saying
It's-
something in the Discord about if you spent an XP or something, I'd let you work out how to do that. But you've spent all
Yeah.
your XP, and fuck you.
Yeah, I know I have one XP, but I don't want to do it. I'm just going to try and pick it. And not 6.
A 6 is kind of enough, and you can feel the lock starting to go. It isn't a very effectively well made lock. It's not quite enough to pluck it, but you get a sense that if you gave the thing a bit of force, you'd probably be able to pull it open.
I pull out my pry bar.
Yeah, cool. Yeah,
and just fucking pull it open.
and you pop the front of the drawer off.
Yeah, that'll do.
And like I say, it's full of rolled up documents. The paper of which seems to be of different ages. Looking at it now.
Okay. Read the
Yeah,
most
some of it is
recent
more
looking
yellow.
paper.
The most recent looking rolled up one is a map of the valley that matches up in terms of the contours, in terms of the layout of the buildings, in terms of the flow of the river and things. It matches up with what you've seen of it.
Okay. Next thing.
So the next most recent one,
Yeah. Do it in that order.
you draw it out, and it is another map of the valley, but the valley is narrower. The river is a little wider. They are dated.
Okay. And what are the dates?
So the date on the most recent one is the year before. You know, is almost a year ago.
Right.
The most recent one is 10 years ago.
And the valley was smaller on the map now.
It was a bit narrower, possibly by looking at the whole thing, you might have put the whole thing as being 100 meters narrower, but
so they just ran a road down it. Is that the only difference? Or am I missing
No, the
something?
valley itself is narrower on the map.
the contours of the map show the shape of the land, and although the walls of the valley are steeper, the flat area at the bottom and the actual distance between the walls of the valley is narrower. And so over the 10 years, if these maps are accurate, over the 10 years between them, the valley has broadened by about 100 meters by average.
That's quite a lot.
Okay.
I'll show them to the good brother. I'll just chuck them at him with his geography knowledge, I guess.
Your geography knowledge, I'll give this to you for free, Gav. This is a lot more than it should be doing, even if it were heavy seismic activity.
10 meters a year, you can almost see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, okay. That's significant, all right.
So anything else other than maps going back?
Like,
So there are 5 of those maps, they are 10 years apart, and they keep going at that kind of rate. The oldest one, and the paper is quite old, it's kind of flimsy. This basically has no valley at all. The hills rise up, the road goes over them, the road goes back down the far side.
Okay.
This map is signed, and actually all of them, other than the most recent one, are signed and marked Eustace Sander, and the most recent one is signed Starla Sander.
Eustace is presumably the dad, I'm guessing.
I would say that's a female name. But yeah. the matriarch who died.
Matriarch, yeah, grandmother. Sorry.
You'll remember Eustace being the name of Starla's mother, who had died last winter.
Yeah.
Roger.
Curious. So
We
that's
should
what's
Eustace or
in the
Eunice?
drawer.
Eunice?
So-
Eunice.
I've written
Eunice.
Eunice, that's what I told you earlier, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Sure.
Is Eustace a woman's name?
I don't... who cares?
I think so.
Yeah.
Her name's Eunice, and that is, yeah.
Cool.
You don't meet many people called Eustace, and they can be whatever gender they want.
True.
So
Could be all
that's
the genders.
anything else in the drawer but maps? Just the maps.
Yeah, that's the question.
What about the safe?
Not in that drawer, it is just charts.
Okay.
Well, I'll go through all of them. And
Yeah.
then make an attempt on the safe to pick it, I guess.
You'll notice as well, so the maps that you've got here run back up as far as the kind of end of the valley. It's kind of the head of the valley that you've descended down. They run as far as the split that Lyrel mentioned. And so this is a few kilometers along. But the scale on them is quite detailed, and so to cover that kind of area, there's quite a lot of detail. But across a page of paper, you don't get terribly far, and you can see this split where the road goes round to the southwest, and the westerly most split in the valley, it peters out and it comes to the edge of the page, and you can't see any further there.
Okay.
Are you putting your hands through the wall of the safe?
Yeah, that'll probably take a while, though, I should think.
Well, it has layers of things with air inside, air between layers, and you can kind of make your way through there. Gex and Gav, would you fellas like to do anything else while or are you just going to sit and watch Sam?
Well, I mean,
Oh, I'll be looking around to see if we can find anything, but I just rolled shit, so I won't be finding it.
I'm pretty sure I can get us into that safe if we afraid to. Well, if we can't lockpick it.
I'll try and lockpick it. If there's anything in it, I'll try and lockpick it.
So, yeah, you go in there. Your arm gets through eventually, Sam, and you're reaching around inside this thing, and so you can feel, first of all, just in the bottom of the safe, there's a kind of canvas bag. There's the sort of thing that actually touching it because your arm is through, and you can wave it around as though you've stuck it into a mystery box that. What's the word I'm looking for here? Like a lucky dip or something? I don't know. You're trying to feel for what's in there, and there's a bag that almost certainly holds currency, and there is jewelry and things in there. And then you realise that the back of the safe isn't there, and the safe is backed against the wall, and so the wardrobe itself had been smashed. The wardrobe, and then the back of the wardrobe kind of meets into the wall of the room. Where your hand should meet resistance at the back of the wall, it kind of floats around, and it's like there's more space behind the wall.
Okay.
The safe is fairly big, and it's the sort of thing that if it were fully opened, a person could probably crawl through it. In which case, if the back of it is false, that would be a way for a person to crawl through and into perhaps another room. You can work that out.
So can I move the safe away because it's clearly empty and look at the back of the wall? And maybe
Have you tried to lift a safe?
Are you going to try and push it?
Yeah, is it a big
Walk into
big
the other
safe?
room?
So it's like I say, it's it's big enough that if a person crouched down, they could have crawled out the back of it. It's fairly big. When you try to push it, you'll notice the wall itself creaks. The safe is probably bolted to the back of the wall.
Try and
And
lockpick it.
Oh, fuck it. I'm just walking through the wall.
you're going to walk through the wall. Yeah, that's fine. That's reasonable.
Yep.
And you go through into, as I said, a whole other room. And you can see now coming through there, you can see this kind of crawl, this kind of 3 by 3 foot square that cut into the wall that would be the back of the safe.
There's no other ways into it, just through the safe.
There's no other way into this room other than the safe or going directly through the wall as you have. This is the kind of first thing that I'll tell you about there. The safe itself, I didn't describe it, but again, it's kind of 3 by 3 by 3 foot. 3 by 3 by 1.5. Sorry, it's about 1.5 foot deep. 3 by 3 foot square on the face, and it is a kind of combination like a tumbler, rather than one that would take a key. The room that you enter, however, now where the hell are my notes on this?
Is it dark? I'm assuming there's no windows.
It is dark, but there are light sources. There are small, softly glowing diodes and little baubles of glass that beep and twinkle in the dark there. And there is some kind of spinning mechanism at the heart of the room, like a large series of cogwheels, or perhaps the kind of thing that if you were to mechanically grind up, rather than using a pestle and mortar, if you wanted to grind a coffee bean or a peppercorn or flour, perhaps you were to pass it into there. Anything would be ground to a fine powder and a fine pulp, and these things turn, and very softly they are quiet but not silent, turning in the dark, very, very gently illuminated by the twinkling of
Well, if it's not fully illuminated, I'll use one of those glow globes, I suppose.
Yeah, you can use a glow globe, and this lights the room, and the room has more of these charts, more detailed. They are less well spaced out in terms of the years, and so it's harder to determine the difference between them. It has more of the valley as it goes along as well, and so you can see off to the western ends of things, the southwest passage opening from it being another kind of closed off quarry with the road switching back up to actually an open-ended valley that the river can flow clean out of, and the road can be wide and opening, and more buildings forming down at the end there. And again, these occur over the years. And then to the clear west, what you might surmise from looking at these complex formations in the rocks, you can't quite work out what's going on from looking at. Maybe I'd get you to make a roll to work out what's going on with those if you want to. But
Yes.
Otherwise,
Why not?
yeah, like I said, yeah, make me a roll on that.
14.
That it looks like it might be the entrances to caves, but it doesn't look like naturally forming caves. It is almost, in terms of the design of the map, it is the same rock that's making up the wall of the valley, but it becomes squarer and much less organically shaped at that end.
I'm going to. Can I open the safe from this side, and then I presume you can just open it without having to undo a lock?
If you were to duck down, you could probably poke a bit at the mechanism and poke it in the right place and just twist it. You'll have to use the force in your wrist a little bit, but you can twist it open from the inside.
And just open it and say, "Come have a look at this."
Yeah.
All right.
To everyone.
And Elias and Hector will see from inside the bedroom. They'll see the safe kind of clunk and click and swing open, and there is Arnold's face hunkering inside a metal box.
Is Elias going to fit through a 3 by 3 foot square?
No, but I can look at him. I definitely won't.
Fatty. Is there anything else other than these crazy charts and weird whirring things?
So, like I say, this thing that is kind of like a series of gears or a grinder that goes through the floor.
Can I try and work out what it is? What it's doing?
Yeah, give me a Numenera roll.
I will ease it.
Okay, yeah. Apply a level of intellectual effort.
Intellectual effort and trained intellect skill.
And you're trained on that.
Sorry, I just wanted to mention something. You know, your condition of existing out of phase, it says you get a free level of effort.
Only for certain things, that is, isn't it? Like there's got to be can't be for everything. That wouldn't make sense.
Yeah,
or for things like cracking the safe, maybe obviously being able to see the mechanism from the other side that'd make sense.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure it out.
Let me read the rules on this. Sorry, I'm gonna.
No, I've written these down. So those minor and major effects are, if I was to roll a 20, I might get a major effect and it will do something. And where it says minor effect suggestion, I don't know what that is, but it's that they're just suggestions for
if you roll a 19, you get
oh no, sorry.
Yeah.
It's on the same page, but it's not related to that. Sorry, that's me being an idiot.
Yeah. It's going to be RP, isn't it? Whatever it is.
That was for like a tier 5 of a different skill, anyway.
Yeah.
So a tier 5 for the what focus is that? The entertains focus.
Yeah.
You get a free level of effort when you are helping someone else with a task.
Yeah,
but that's you guys aren't tier 5, and that isn't Sam's focus.
Hell no.
Nope. So what did I discern from these whirring?
So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give you fellas an experience point each because you've discovered something, and that is the object of the game, is to discover things. In fact, I might give you guys 2 of these each because this is quite a big discovery.
Ooh.
What this thing is, and Sam's rolled pretty well there. Yeah, I'm going to give you guys 2 experience points each here. This is burrowing into the ground, this thing, and you can surmise from looking at the maps and realizing that the landscape itself is being artificially shaped. It isn't being naturally shaped. It isn't naturally broadening the bow. And what you've got here is something that is almost twisting and turning like a corkscrew into the earth, but it is steady and it is quiet. And this device is kind of coring into the very heart of the valley. You can look at the map and you can look at the positioning of the house, and you can realize that not only are you more or less now in the very core of the glen in terms of its length, in terms of its increasing breadth, but you're also at a point which would have been one of the highest points in the hills at some point, back before the Sanders came. And what somebody has done is, by placing this device and allowing it to burrow into the earth, this is what is creating the valley that you stand in. And so when people are saying without the Sanders there'd be no Sanderglen, that's probably
this is what they mean.
Yeah.
Okay. There's your answer, Gav.
As to you passing by over the recent years, I mean, you're not likely to have passed by. I'm not saying the last time you were through was 50 years ago, Gav, but probably the last time you went through, there was so little valley. The valley was narrow enough and short enough that you would have gone around it. There were more roads passing through in the area, and you could well have gone a different way to have ignored this increasing and growing crack in the ground.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What someone has done is artificially generated very effective, very fertile farming ground.
Well, I see nothing wrong with that. I see it being slightly strange that people are hiding the fact.
If they know about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, how old was the barmaid? She was quite young, wasn't she? So she wouldn't really know what we were talking about.
No, and everyone you've met that you've talked to about this is fairly young. Lyrel didn't really want to talk about it, but you probably put Lyrell in his mid-30s. Thomas was a bit older, and Thomas is probably older than the Valley that you can work out, but not by much.
Okay, interesting.
You know, if the guy's 50, it's by a couple of years. You know.
Well, if the Sanders are behind this, then maybe who wants to get rid of them has an interest in stopping it or preventing it. Preventing it.
It could be a key point in this thing, and the fact that it was this building that was, housing
It
it.
sounds like it. They're behind it. Maybe Eunice was behind it herself if she's been charting it.
Thing that you can't work out is how this might be controlled and how it might be powered. Those are the two things that, looking in here, and again, your role was pretty good there, Sam. You'll note that you can't work that out from here.
Did you say there was caves in here or something?
So the maps to the west indicate very artificial looking caves, and this is the direction that it's been suggested the crazies live, the crazy folk who live in the hills, live out to the west past the fork in the valley. And
so maybe the valley's affecting their land.
Well, wasn't it mentioned by Lyrell that they used to live here but decided not to, was it? I don't recall.
You don't decide to move. Not if those people have been living here longer. A lot of people tend to put down roots in places, strangely enough. Oh, here, can we seal this up? Or once we're finished, can we hide this away just in case Lyrell doesn't know about it?
Will it be easy enough to close the safe from the outside?
Yeah, well, I'll take the globe with me. I'll just hold it.
No. From my point of view, the rest of the, downstairs and just where the fight happened and the state of the building itself, does it look like there was a robbery here? Like,
that's what I was wondering, because the house is turned.
Missing from. I know the house is turned, but like, is there, obvious shit missing? Like, pictures on walls and.
No, they're not that you've noticed. And even Gex, your perception roll is good. Not that you noticed. It looks like I say, you've seen stains of blood in two places. There are arrows in the walls, which, as I said, the arrows aren't in places that it would make sense tactically and martially for the arrows to be. And you can see they don't line up with the holes in the windows that look as though they've been caused by arrows, for example.
I don't understand what that means. I know, like.
Maybe someone's just firing under arrows.
Do you don't understand what I say? Or
struggle. Yeah, I don't. I don't quite.
I don't understand the interpretation of the clue you're presenting with us.
Yeah, that's.
So are people firing arrows, missing their targets, but they've fired them short range from inside the building?
That's what I'm wondering. It's either inside the building or they've come out of like a portal or something. They're shooting at a target from somewhere that, wouldn't make any sense, because you wouldn't be firing a fucking bow at 5 meters range.
Oh, but you might be firing a repeating crossbow or, well, who knows? Could some strange Numenera or something.
Not going to say any more on the subject. I'll let you fellas work it out.
That's what I'm getting at with Gex's successful perception roll. Should he not work it out?
Well, yes, I'm having trouble picturing like where the arrows are.
So let me clear this, and I'll just draw things on. Hang on, how does this work again? Fucking hell. Sorry, 2 secs.
Definite fight, definite blood.
None of the arrows are bloody.
No.
Like the arrows didn't travel through.
Does the woman have a guard? We never asked Lyrell that.
So she had staff.
Yeah, we heard that her staff were killed.
So if this is the ground floor, let me draw things. So this is your front door. This is facing west because that's your westerly windows, and so the road runs this way. This is north. That's hard to draw like that because I'm doing it at a weird angle. And so the windows here were smashed. But let's say, and and there was furniture in the back here and things that were
smashed inwards or outwards. That's easy.
So there was glass on the floor in here,
Right,
so that's easy to determine. Stairs over here, and the stairs go upstairs, and there are bedrooms and there's a hallway and things like that. Like I said, there were, and let's say there are pillars in the room that are holding up the ceiling, but otherwise it's a large room. You've got kind of kitcheny stuff over here. And then I'm going to change color because there was blood at the top of the stairs. And there's blood here. But let's say the green is an arrow. Now, like I said, this window here is smashed like a person could come through it. Both these windows are smashed like things have been shot through them. But there's an arrow there, and there's an arrow there, and there's arrows here and here, and here and here, and here and here and here. They don't look as though they've actually come through windows. There are arrows around the place, kind of punctuating the room.
Possible Numenera shield deflecting them or something? Maybe the woman had a force field.
Heat-seeking arrows.
Yeah.
The weapon that L'Ariel carries across his chest, does that look like a thing that could fire an arrow?
It looked like something that would fire an arrow.
It had a tube on it, so could be.
Y'all give me one more roll.
Or
Again, it would be a perception roll, I think. So I'm going to give Gex the training in it. I might give Gav a training in this as well.
Oh, it doesn't matter. It rolled a 3.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
I'm going to ease it. On a 7.
Nearly a 16. The 17's plenty, especially for Gex. You're back out in the hallway here, and you're kind of stepping away because there's just I'll draw it on, but back out in the hallway upstairs, and imagine there are rooms above this, but this is where you stood. You're coming up here to avoid the blood because you want to be respectful and give people a chance to clean things up properly and things like that. As I said, there is an arrow in the wall, and then there's an arrow mark, like an arrow head in the blood on the floor. You notice the arrow in the wall looks. The wallpaper around it is singed in a way that the arrow would not have caused by itself.
So, yes, a Numenera, maybe.
Yep, it's got to be, isn't it? Is it possible to investigate that further?
Yeah, take a. You're going to pull the arrow out?
Yeah.
Roll me a d6 there, Gex.
Oh boy.
Nuclear implosion.
No, it's fine. Yeah, it's all right.
Okay.
So you're still looking at that one. Like I say, I mean, what Gex has learned there is basically that the wallpaper and the wall itself has got a neat little burn hole on it around where the arrow has struck. And but the wood in behind it, and if you pull the arrow out, the wood in the wall is not burnt in this same way. When you touch the burnt stuff, it kind of flakes off as though it's still fresh. It hasn't been disturbed.
It's like a laser beam has hit the wall, and then the arrow went along the path of the laser.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah,
like
the arrow
laser
hit.
or the weapon fires an arrow and a laser or something weird.
Laser guided arrows.
Or that someone had shot the laser at the wall and then fired the arrow at the spot that the laser had hit.
Okay. So maybe that. Maybe someone has killed with a fancy laser Numenera gun and has planted arrows around in order to make it look like these weird tribals did it.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
That's quite possible.
Let's go with a very heavy-handed anti-red arrow approach here and say, we found these red arrows. Let's check the bodies and then get out to the west. And we'll see if we can catch L'Oreal off guard.
Catch him in
Yeah,
a
perhaps that tube is the laser.
You'll notice that I've given Gex an extra point of XP for reaching that conclusion.
Thank you.
And I won't say any more on that matter.
I think, I reckon
Okay.
it's possible that Starla's not even left town. She's been held under lock and key, or has indeed been murdered, perhaps, by someone.
How many blood splotches are there in total? Is it just
Two.
the two we see?
There's two splats.
And how much blood is there?
Enough to surmise that a person has been killed there.
It's fatal, yeah. I would say we check the bodies before.
Somebody has been killed, possibly killed with an arrow. That's not entirely unreasonable, and bled out or died and bled there for, overnight until they discovered the next day.
All right. Well, let's take a look at the bodies now. Yeah.
Yeah.
The floor
Before
is
leaving,
stained.
I want to take one of the arrows entirely. I know I have some of the fletching, but
Did we got the maps? We pocketed those. And Sam's got the globe. Yeah.
You can do. Yeah. Sam took his globe, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. And before we leave, that there was no literature written by her in the form of a journal. What I first sought out to look for.
Not that you found, no.
No, Roger.
No, so that's fine. And you step out onto the street, and Lee and Lyrel are kind of muttering to each other. They're talking, and then as they see you open the door, they both stop. And Lee straightens himself up and stands, and the guy's looking bleary-eyed, like he's had a very bad night's sleep, or a night of trying not to sleep and not quite managing it.
I murder him. No, let's not.
I accuse him of lasers.
Let's not jump to any conclusions. Let's go look at. Was to say something like, "Oh, it's a mysterious scene," and couldn't draw anything concrete from that.
All indications are pointing towards the tribes.
Yeah.
Arrows, axe.
Them shifty arrow flinging bastards.
Yep, crazies from the hills out west, like I told you.
Let's go check out these bodies, I guess.
Yep.
Do check that they were killed by what they look like they've been killed by.
Yeah. Some, obvious arrow wounds.
How many staff
away,
did the mayor have?
Just the two of them, housekeeper and the chef. Between the two, they manage it all.
Alright.
Very efficient young lady in the house, Mayor Starla. Keeps Bunsen working hard on the farm, mind.
Any idea what was in the safe? We couldn't get inside it.
The safe? And he looks over to you and kind of, if it's possible, his eyes narrow even further.
Surely you noticed the safe. You were looking through the house yesterday.
What do you think people keep in a safe? Valuables. Notice whoever took her didn't take that, huh?
Well, the house is tossed like a common robbery, but nothing's missing.
Seemed that way to you. All right.
Curious.
And he starts stepping down the road, and it's only 2 or 3 extra doors down until you get to the chapel, which is on the other side of the road. But
Before we move on, did he look like he was attempting to conceal anything when the safe was mentioned?
Like I say, the guy is drawn, and
Bearing in mind I'm a retard, so
he's kind of always squinting, and
Yeah.
always got his mouth drawn. You
He's
picture
Clint
any
Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood film, yeah. This
Yeah.
is entirely Blue Laurel is doing this Clint Eastwood face. In which case, like I said, he's kind of squinted at you, but not really more so than he was already.
Poker face, got it.
It's like a kind of very deliberate attempt at a poker face, you know, or like an actual neutral expression. It's like he's trying to look like he's suspicious of everyone.
That's a good sheriff should.
Okay.
All right, bodies. Let's go.
Yeah, bodies, priest. I
Rap
hope
on
he's
the
drunk.
door. All right, priest. What's up?
Lyrel walks down.
Speak, priest. Speak, priest.
Lyrel walks down to the Amber Chapel, just a little way down the road, and you know the place is decorated like anywhere else that you've seen. They've got the classic robes as they should, and they've got the you know the livery decorations of anywhere under the Amber Papacy, as well they should do in the Orthodox kind of heart of the religion there. But as you go in, there is kind of altars, stone tables set up, and there are, as promised, 2 bodies dressed in white funereal robes, kind of gowns laid out, and a few candles lit about the place, and an amber, she's not a young woman, but a woman in her robes, and she's holding a kind of wand-like device that itself glows and is giving out some kind of, you can't tell if it's steam or smoke from where you are, but it's kind of wafting over the bodies some kind of particulate in an aerosol. Like I said, either steam or smoke, and it's sinking down onto them. But it has a warm glow as she holds it, and she walks and she mumbles, and she walks and she mumbles. And as the door opens, she looks over, and then she goes back to them, and yeah, Lyrel, I was expecting you, Blue. I was expecting you. And Lyrel introduces you all and explains that Thomas has asked you to find out what's happened, and you're the ones that are going to be finding Starla. And she doesn't, her expression doesn't really change. She says, doesn't matter too much. These ones are dead. Starla, on the other hand, well, if they're the best folks for the job, I'm sure Thomas has other use for you.
What does that mean?
And she stops what she's doing, and she taps the base of the kind of one thing that she's holding, and it stops glowing and it stops giving out its emission. And she says, well, what can we do for you?
We hear about the bodies from the Scandville ship, Sanford.
Yeah.
that house.
Yeah.
Sorry, my brain stopped working.
Sandor Gaines' house. We're here for the bodies. Sorry.
Yeah.
The Sander house, yeah.
And I have
I hope you haven't buried them.
Forgotten what they are. No, these will be these 2. These 2, Alex, and there's an old man with a bald head and a kind of slightly wrinkly face, although being now a cadaver, his face has softened and relaxed a fair bit. Alex and old Nadia over there, and again there's a woman. She's a little younger, she's a little slimmer, she's certainly not bald. But both of them have got these white gowns on them, and you can see blood starting to soak into them. Both of them on their chests have got, red smears soaking into these white robes on their chests.
We need to look at these bodies. We've been charged by the acting mayor to investigate.
Yeah, thought you might. Won't stop you.
Cool.
She takes a few steps back.
So
I'll go over and just lift up the robe of the man just to check his chest and the wound on the chest.
And give me rolls, I suppose, to take a look at that. See how much info you get out of that.
Well,
I got 8 infos.
70.
So again,
Big infos.
these look at first glance to be arrow wounds. They certainly look that way. They are well placed, and these people probably wouldn't have suffered so much as died fairly quickly. They do have exit wounds coming out through them as well. You know, so the arrows have gone clear into them, and you know might have struck whatever they went through. You notice looking back in, and Sam, you're the only person really to notice this. However, the wound on this fella's chest does have a kind of scorched edge, ever so slightly. And so again, A, it's very well placed, it's very precise, and B, yeah, it's B, it's not just an arrow. There is clearly some kind of Numenera at play here, because something has burnt parts of the flesh. Not enough to cauterize the wound, and certainly not enough to leave a major mark on the skin. It hasn't delivered any kind of real impact. You
just plowed a hole straight through.
The priest, whose name is Kirin, comes over. These took these out of him, and she has 2 of the same arrows on there. And you'll notice, all of you will notice that they do have blood on them, but they're not as there's nothing other than blood on them. They're not what am I trying to say? Kind of as stained and as visceral as things might expect to be. There's no tissue on them or anything like that.
No.
One of them, the tip is chipped. So the tip is like I say, it's chipped.
Was the exit wound, was it like a small neat wound, or was it a ragged wound?
The arrow has gone through them, so it's it is what you would expect. It's no more. It's as ragged as it is all the way through these people's chests. The arrows in the front and out the back slightly, although not all the way through. So the feathers on them are untouched by blood.
Yeah.
So is there any other wounds on the body?
No.
Especially burn marks.
So again, on the fella you notice this, and then checking, because again you'll be looking closely, having noticed this on the woman, you notice the same thing. Their backs are their fronts, and even looking into the wounds. So when it kind of comes to their heart, I suppose, you notice this ever so slightly kind of singed and burnt tissue. And then an awful lot of blood loss.
Yes. Again, we wouldn't mention those findings at this point, I don't think.
No,
Nope.
there are ways that
Very
you can
suspicious.
point that out subtly. Sam, you'll notice that, and you can kind of
Nod.
Nudges in the ribs and gives a sly wink.
But Lyrell's gone out of the room again, but Kieran has remained and is dotting about.
Looks like arrows killed him.
Quite tragic, really. It's rare that the crazies in the hills they cause all kinds of trouble, but it's rare that they'll come into town.
How long have they
What
been
kind
a
of
problem?
trouble do they normally cause?
Both
Well,
questions.
they'll snatch an animal in the night, or run off a farmer from his crop, or
Theft, you would say.
Sounds like they're hungry.
Well, they've no reason to be hungry. The valley, the Sanderglen, it provides for all of us.
Well, I mean, it provides for everyone in the town, with the farmers that work for the Sanders.
those people could put down their sticks and their arrows and their axes any day they liked and walk into town and they'd be greeted.
Not very priestly of you.
Listen, what I do here is I protect civilization and the Numenera and the way of the truth, and that is what we work on.
We do like the truth.
My role here is discovery as much as civic duties. My role here is to protect knowledge, and the people up in those hills, well, they don't know anything and they would forget anything you try to teach them.
Tell me, what's Labrial's Numenera do? That device he has across his chest.
And she wrinkles up her nose a little bit and says, it's a killing thing.
Have you seen it in action?
Once or twice. Don't care for it.
What did it do? It looks really interesting. Kind of like to get one. For self-defense, obviously.
What they'd call a ray emitter in the schools up north.
Sounds very exciting.
On down, he's real precision. Sharper than arrows that killed these poor souls.
Sharpshooter. That's the kind of man you want protecting the town, you know? Guy who's never going to miss.
Seen him miss yet?
Must make you feel safe, yeah.
Well, I guess we better go talk to these Western folk.
Yeah, we've got to bring them some justice.
Good luck talking to them.
Well, let's bring
They've
them some
got
truth.
voices, but
Do they speak the truth? Do you know?
they got voices. They know how to use them. You can stand still long enough to talk. Maybe they'll talk to you. Maybe they won't.
Seems reasonable. Well, so we've looked at these bodies. No other marks on them, like signs of a struggle, like bruises or anything like that? Or...
There really isn't. These people were healthy otherwise, and like I say, they
were alive.
I'm surprised by the
just
sound
got
of it.
dropped.
As
well.
Yeah, they're old people. They've been much of a struggle anyway.
The fella is quite old. The woman is, certainly, certainly an adult. Certainly, she's a bit younger than he is, but she's old enough, and both of them are calloused on the hands, and what am I trying to say there? They're not clerical folks. They work for a living. Both of them have rough knees.
I turn to the side from Kieran, so I'm out of earshot, and just say, "Do you guys want to check out this grouse fella before we go look at those D-bags in the hills?"
Yes.
He might know more about the sheriff.
Okay.
We need to be cut loose from the sheriff then.
Yeah, we need to kind of maybe give him the slip.
I think the bigger question is, if indeed it is the sheriff's doing.
We'd be like sort of.
Yes, I'd rather
the room from her.
Or I'd just leave the room.
Yeah, we've gone out of sight of her and out of earshot and out of sight of the sheriff.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. Somewhere safe.
Wait.
You can find. Are you going to go outside of the room, or are you just going to find a little quiet corner of the chapel?
Well, if she's leaving us be, we'll find a quiet corner, and if not, we'll leave the room and make some excuse that we want to gather some things or something.
She'll go back to what she was doing, which was, ostensibly kind of dressing and treating the dead, and she's got some kind of ritualistic stuff that she likes to do before. Presumably, she's doing something before burial.
We'll leave you to it, priest.
Be safe, boys.
And you.
And also with you.
Wait.
Yeah, what do you reckon?
What are we to gain by this?
We need to figure out kind of if he's in cahoots with Tyrese, if he's in cahoots with that fella and what they stand to gain or profit from removing Starla.
Well,
and if this
assuming the priest, assuming Eustace has succumbed last winter in possibly suspicious circumstances. Who knows?
Hmm.
But if that is indeed the case, and it seems like the only other businessman, as it was put to us, in town might have knowledge of this Numenera that the Sanders family have, it seems
Hmm.
he's likely to gain.
Grouse.
But
You say?
also, if we find, what was her name again? Stray.
Starla.
Stala. If we find Stala, all is well and good. But then it still points to a conspiracy that wants the people that Thomas or Laurel want her dead.
Or hear me out. Working with her, and they've faked her disappearance.
And why are we
There's-
here?
There's
Why would
more
it need to
Because
be
player.
investigated?
if Thomas doesn't know anything about this, but I don't believe that for a second. But it's just putting it out there.
Mm.
Maybe someone wants to. No, it seems like a power move on his part, using the sheriff to remove her.
Why would he
So are we
pay
going to? Yeah,
independence to?
because we'll be either taken out of the picture by these hill folk, or he'll have his man take care of us.
Maybe he wants us to pin it
Or
on the
we could,
sheriff so that it puts him in the clear.
yeah, or
Or he's
pin it,
he's
pin,
throwing his ally under the bus.
or pin it on the Westerners if we
That
bring
seems
back
the
her dead
obvious option.
body.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter either way. He's still guilty, and so either he or Lariel is guilty, and well, we're supposed to turn up and put our hands out and ask for 750 shins.
Yep.
So why don't we just leave Laurel here, walk into the west, find these folk, explain what the scum in the town are doing,
Oh,
and
Murder them all.
see
take
what
it
they
by
know about
force.
the young lady.
We ignoring this grouse fella.
Well, so apart from him grumbling,
In a
no,
in a
not,
meta game point of view, I don't think he's going to do anything,
Fair.
because I think that would have pointed us towards what we found out in the room
Okay.
behind the safe. That's
Good.
really meta
Except
of
maybe
me.
maybe some motive or something. Right, fuck it. Let's go to these fucking.
bit of history, I suppose.
He'll try to sell you traveling goods and bread.
Yeah. Just before we leave the chapel, I'd like to ask.
About Eustace.
Yeah, I'd like to ask, just out of curiosity, the former mayor, how did she pass? Was it just old age?
Eustace, oh, such a dear. Yes, she was. She'd seen a fair few winters, and it just came in a little too cold, a little too late. You know, the valley's usually so well sheltered, and we don't always keep the place as warm as we could. We've been very strict with the lighting of the fires now this year. Made sure we keep as much wood as we can now, but that was a hard way to learn a lesson. She wasn't the only one to pass that in the storm then.
Oh, there was more folk.
Well, it was a particularly cold night, a particularly cold winter, and those of us here at the very western end of town felt the cold a little more than people in the centre, even. Yeah, and she woke one morning. Starla found her in her bedroom. Poor thing had breathed her last. We have her interred in the cemetery behind the chapel. If you'd like to see.
I don't think we gain
No.
anything from seeing a grave.
No.
We'll leave her to rest.
Of course.
Let's go dig her up. I didn't say that.
Well, hopefully her. her daughter
So
will continue her legacy.
Yeah.
so we're
I-
gonna just give these. Sorry, Jed.
No, that's all she's going to say. She's going to say that.
Are we just gonna give the fucking sheriff a slip now and piss off to the west? Is that the plan?
We could
Well,
even
it's
tell
either
him we're
giving
going
this-
there.
We can give him the slip or take him with us. Is there benefit? He'll only antagonize the Westerners, though.
Yes, exactly.
I truly believe that.
I think we want to go there as a position of neutrality with them.
Yes, I would think so too.
Is there a
Then
back?
let's just tell him we're going, or will he try and come with us?
Well, we'll see his reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we leave it there? And you
Ooh.
fellas can have a think about that and talk to Lyrel at the start of next session to decide what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works okay for me.
Yeah.
Gives us a proper focus to start with next week.
Yeah.
That's
We're definitely missing something. Either Lyrel's been framed or he's done it at the behest of someone else. And I think we probably need to see the people that it's being blamed on to work out the solution.
Yeah.
See,
there's a lot of folks in the town who work for the Sanders and that you haven't spoken to, so you don't know
Yeah, it's the farmer.
quite how the Sanders are actually perceived within the town.
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, when you're myself and my other mates that roleplay, because we've been doing investigation games for years, and I've had this argument with them for years. They like to talk to absolutely everyone involved, and well, that's not what Sherlock Holmes does.
No.
He basically
He does.
no, he guesses what's going to happen using
Early on.
his yeah.
Question.
He forms a hypothesis and then tests his hypothesis.
Yeah, it's a scientific thing with him, isn't it?
So, instead of because any one of the people we talk to could be, theoretically, at least in the other games I play, could be the bad guy. Now, I know in this case we've already probably talked to the bad guy, but we're not entirely sure of that. So
Basing
the
it
thing
on
would
the
be,
wounds.
yeah, the thing would to do now, I think, would be to test Larell or to test Thomas. Exactly how we do that, I don't have an idea yet, but you know what I mean? Like if we took Thomas to the west and Thomas was nothing but like a total horse and a total asshole and tried to kick off a fight straight away,
Yeah.
like if he was totally over the top, that'd obviously, that
Ding,
wouldn't
ding, ding.
help.
Yeah.
Or if we went, had a cordial conversation, he said nothing, and then we come away going, "Ooh, maybe it's somebody from inside the town. Those folks seem okay." And depending on his reaction then, that might also inform us. Or indeed, we just fucking caught him doing something else shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm having a fucking great time with this.
Yeah,
figured
I'm glad that this has kicked things off a bit more. Like I say, I wanted to use. I know last week was a bit slow, and I used the first few weeks just to give you fellas a
No,
chance
it's
to
fine.
learn the system. This is what I wanted to do with the game at the minute. So
Yeah.
I'm inclined to go down this hypothesis route if we come up with a theory.
If we can come up with one.
I think it's L'Oreal for some reason.
I don't think he's doing
I'm
it on his own.
I'm
I don't think
inclined
the
to
ambition
think
is
he's
there.
working
I
for
agree.
someone.
I don't think it's Thomas though.
He's their blunt instrument. Well, that's what I mean. We need to talk. Probably need to talk to this fucking other people here. And
so the
obviously these
other
Westerners.
names that I've given you. So you've got Bill
Bunsen,
Grouse, Bunsen, who basically manages the farm and the cattle market, and Bill Grouse, who runs the general store. And Bill Grouse is the only other business owner. So between the Sanders own most of the land, Bill Grouse owns the general store, and then Thomas owns the roadhouse.
well,
There are
from
other places.
the farmer and the land manager, we might be able to get more of an information about the Numenera and just the nature of the valley itself.
Yes,
Or
someone
the
has.
Sanders' influence over it, like.
I think the key is someone is inclined to control the thing that she had in her house.
Yeah.
That's the key. And finding out who that is the answer, probably.
And in fact, the first word out of his mouth was, "You
I'm going
could."
to save this.
When I said something along the lines of deputy mayor or something like that, not deputy, mayor apparent,
Acting.
whatever, acting mayor, yeah. And he said, "Oh," he kind of rolled his eyes and said, "Oh, what a burden I have to take on under these circumstances," that type of thing. That just stank of, "Oh, woe is me, I'll do it, but I really don't want to." "Oh, but if
Yeah.
you insist." "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Oh, twist my arm. Go on then.
Yeah.
I'm off, fellas. Sam, I'll speak to you on Sunday.
Yes.
I'll let you know. I don't know whether I'll probably be on around that as well, in the day. But
Yeah, I
at
should
the very
think
least,
I'll be on in the day.